Well, hello everyone, and welcome back in. Sorry that we had the problems with the sound. We got it straightened out now. I had to reboot a computer here. A couple of issues we had may have been hacked into. I'm not sure what happened. It hasn't happened. I never had this happen during the program where a computer just crashed on me. But anyways, it did. Maybe we're broadcasting on too many networks. I got 6 computers going. Even our backup computer was not working. So sorry for the delay, but we're back again with the news. Before we do get back into the news, though, we did hear from Jeff. Jeff, are you out there? Why don't you finish up what you were saying while we're on break?
Yeah, like I said, sir, they put the word out on you, even though they don't make an announcement and you're not officially disfellowship. They put the word out on you, and one thing I could say is talking about Chewy is they don't want to hear about you doing good. That is one thing. They hate that. I was told always years back, apostates, they go back to worse than they were before they come into the truth, and a worse person. And they don't want to see you doing good. That is, and he got into that a little bit, and that's something they don't like, and they don't like to hear. Anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Well, Jeff, thank you. Always good to hear from Jeff way out there in the middle of Iowa. Thank you, Jeff, for calling in. Well, friends, we had a little problem on our earlier broadcast with the computers, but it looks like we're back now. StreamYard's working good. We're back online. Things are working good. So every once in a while, when you're dealing with high technology, you're going to run into some issues, but we're glad you're back on here with us. I want to get back to the news. I'm going to put up here, I want to share something with you guys that took place this week, announcements in the Kingdom Halls. And unbelievable. I want to read you the announcements, and let's see if we can't get this up, and I want to share it with you. I think you can see it right now. Announcements that were read, just this week in the Kingdom Hall. And let me read it to you. You can see it here on Facebook, but you can hear it on our radio network. But let me read it to you. For elders, this is announcements. You guys know what that's about. Remember the announcements and the reminders. They used to read them during the school, not the school, but during the meeting, during the service meeting. So the elders now are resuming in-person house-to-house ministry. We know that. We talked about that last week. The house-to-house ministry is now resuming, and we are confident, according to this letter from the branch, we are confident that you will follow the direction of the branch office while being carefully not to add unnecessary rules. Oh, that's interesting. Since each publisher's circumstances vary, no one should feel pressured to participate in any specific method of preaching. Well, there it is, right from the horse's mouth. They're saying that the house-to-house ministry is resuming, but already they're getting static. Already a lot of witnesses don't want to go out in service door to door anymore. They like doing letters on Zoom. They like calling people. They do not want to go out knocking on doors all over the neighborhood. So they're saying that each publisher has different circumstances. I'm glad the Watchtower is recognizing that. No one should feel pressured to participate in any specific method of preaching. So they're telling you right there. In fact, if I was a witness and I didn't feel comfortable going out door to door because of monkeypox, because of COVID still, or I just didn't like it, I'd say, no, I'm not going to go out. And according to this letter, you're not going to be badgered. Only time will tell. We'll see. And also it says effective September 1st, 2022, barring any government restrictions, elders' meetings should be held in person, as was done prior to COVID-19 pandemic. So the elders are going to have to start meeting in person again. They were having elders meetings on Zoom. as the rest of the congregation was too. Let's just take a look here. It says the midweek meeting parts on attending in-person meetings. Friends, they're having a hard time getting people to come back to the kingdom halls. So what they're saying here in the letter is, please assign an elder to present a 10-minute review of the July 29, 2022 announcement for congregations in place of the 5-minute local needs talk. Okay, they have local needs, right? So they're going to stop the local needs talk this week. And the brother is going to allow time, and he's going to have a 2-minute interview with exemplary publishers who attend meetings in person. So they want to get people back to the kingdom halls. This is obvious. So they're going to do a 2-minute interview, on stage like they used to do. You remember. And they're going to have 2 publishers come up and say, oh, how they're heartfelt thankful to Jehovah that they're able to come back and meet in person. So they want to really push this. They're having a hard time getting people to come back to the meetings. But let me scroll down here. Also, it says meetings for field service. When determining the locations and times for in-person meetings for field service, now they're also going to start meeting for field service at the Kingdom Hall, and also they're going to meet at some of the publishers' homes. Now that's interesting. They haven't done that for a long time. So they'll be meeting at publishers' homes as well with their field service arrangements and meetings. But this is the part that I really wanted to get to. This is the second part of the letter. Now, what it says here, we are so happy. We are resuming in-person house-to-house ministry. We are delighted to share the following news with you. On August 3rd, 2022, the governing body informed all branch committees that they may resume the in-person house-to-house ministry beginning September 1st. Oh my goodness, September 1st, drudgery begins. Now, after considering the local situation in our branch territory, we are pleased to provide the following direction that will be of assistance to you as you carry out your personal ministry. Well, let's see what the directions are. All should use good judgment when deciding whether to wear a mask when witnessing in person. So you ought to, do we wear a mask or not? Well, you have to use good judgment. I'm sure some witnesses have better good judgment than other ministers. Now, when you approach people in the ministry, we know you will continue to show due respect and consideration for their feelings and circumstances. This would include maintaining a discreet distance. So they still want you to stay 6 feet away, I would think. I mean, that's the social distancing rules, right? So they would still want you to stay 6 feet away from a person that you're going to be delivering the kingdom message to. Now that's something. They're calling it a discreet distance. That's strange, huh? Now this is in harmony with Jesus' words found in Matthew 7:12. All things, therefore, that you want men to do to you, you must also do to them. So, they do want you to, they're emphasizing here to wear a mask in ministry. Can you imagine wearing a mask and going to a person's door? COVID, basically, people aren't wearing masks as much. I still see a few people wearing masks. But to be Jehovah's Witness and go door to door with a mask on, my goodness gracious, that could be frightening. And then some witnesses, from what I read online, they're getting these really jumbo masks so they can cover their whole face so nobody recognizes them. At this point, I wouldn't want to be recognized either. I'd probably wear one of those jumbo masks myself. So they're actually saying this, that, it's up to you to wear a mask in service, but they are encouraging it. And then it says here as well, mask wearing at congregation meetings. Well, what are the witnesses going to do at congregation meetings? For the time being, we strongly encourage all to continue to wear masks at congregation meetings. Friends, COVID basically, I'm not going to say it disappeared, but I am saying that, the witnesses have made such a doggone, big deal about it. Really, so many witnesses have been so concerned about COVID that many never even returned to their jobs. I have people I know that are still so concerned about going out, and I got to put a mask on. The Watchtower really penetrated their brain and getting them to do all of these things, social distancing, the masks. And now you have a bunch of paranoid witnesses that are just not knowing what to do, but they do want you to wear the mask at the meeting. They're saying the masks is kind of up to you in service, but they're suggesting that you do. You can tell Watchtower writing. You know how they do it. So, anyways, I thought I'd bring that to you.
Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
No, I was talking to my daughter Savannah the other day, and her mom remarried here about 3 weeks, a month ago, to a brother, and they relocated to Montana, and their congregation just recently started where they're going to the congregation. Well, some can go to the congregation. They're still allowing some to stay on Zoom. But if you go to the meeting, you have to wear a mask, and then you leave immediately after. You're not allowed to socialize after the meeting. So you're pretty much there. But it's kind of ironic if you think about it. If you're there for Watchtower study is 45 minutes or whatever it is, or talks 45 minutes, and you got a Watchtower study. If you're sitting there, and they didn't specify whether their seats are 6 feet apart or anything like that, but it is kind of funny that you can be there for the whole talk and Watchtower, but you got to leave immediately after. You're already sitting next to people. You're already there, but you can't socialize. So they've been going, I guess, just here in the past week or two, have been going to the meetings again, but they're like, my daughter was like, she was more comfortable just being on Zoom so they could just stay at home and look dressed up, and they got used to that for 2 years, So, but it's just crazy that they have to leave immediately after. There's no socializing after. Anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. Who would want to go back to meetings? I mean, they were on a cakewalk. They were really enjoying life to some degree. So, yeah. Who's on with us? Go ahead. Say hello to us.
It's true.
Yeah, we have a female first. Go ahead. Girl first, lady first.
Okay, sorry, Rick. I'm picturing a Jehovah's Witness going up to a door with a big face mask on and a Stanley retractable measuring device in his hand. Before he says, hello, my name is, I'm in the neighborhood today. He's making sure he has that 6 foot difference. And the other thing is only exemplary publishers who basically, you're exemplary if you go in person to the Kingdom Hall. That's terrible. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, who else do we have on there? Go ahead.
It's true.
Yes, Joey.
Well, we all know that it's about 50% at the meeting. That's been going back to meetings for 3 or 4 months. I would say that they're going to be about 30%, maybe 20% that show up at a meeting for field service. They are going to have such a hard time getting those people back. And can you imagine going to a door and you have a mask or you don't have a mask on? Say you choose not to wear a mask, which I really wouldn't want to. But let's say they choose not to, and then the householder comes up to the door and they got a mask. What are they going to do then? Talk about a conversation stopper. The homeowner's wearing a mask, but they're not. What are they going to do? That's going to put them in an awkward position, And then the other thing too, they talk about the assemblies next year. That's going to be the same thing as back to the field ministry. They ain't going to want to do that. Not when it's all streamed from Mother, as they call it. So anyway, thanks.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no, in fact, it's going to be
Hey,
very.
Rick.
Yes.
Rick,
Go
I
ahead.
have a funny story to tell you.
I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I have a story to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my mom is 89, and so she's been watching the meeting and the assembly on Zoom, and so she heard on the meeting that they're going to start back up field service in September. So this morning she told me, she said, well, they're going to start field service back up in September, so I'm going to have to get up every morning and get dressed. I said, well, Mama, you're 89. Are you going to try to pioneer? She said, no, but I know every one of them is going to want to come by here and start their time.
Well,
And then she said she was she had really enjoyed not being bothered by people. All right, that's all I wanted to tell you. Good night.
Well, no, good night. Well, that's fine. You checked in with us. Thank you for telling us that. No, things are strange out there. I'll tell you that. So always good to hear from you. I know you're calling in from I think it's down there in the south somewhere. Thank you very much. Well, you're on.
All right, good night.
Good night now, MS. Yep, thank you. So I think the witnesses, I believe they're still paranoid about COVID. As I was just saying, how would they not be after being admonished so many times from the Watchtower to be very careful? And if you're especially old, be careful going out. Get some younger person and go out and do your shopping for you. So there's been a number of local needs talks this week. Can you believe it? On COVID. And many of these talks locally in some of the local kingdom halls is saying that, there's a problem. It's still bad. And they're concerned about people. They're even shutting some meetings down because some people have had COVID. So how do you really think about it when the Watchtower is now saying they're going to resume their meetings for 2023? Now, I mean, that's a while off, but the Watchtower has encouraged.
Could that be an experimental group of how diseases spread?
I don't know, Pixie, what they're trying to do here, but the Watchtower, many people are still paranoid over this. Now they're hearing about going back to the conventions in 2023, and they're very concerned about it still. They're saying, well, wow, my goodness, with monkeypox and COVID, that is nothing. And a convention is basically a meeting on steroids, right? Really, it's going to be all these. Yeah.
Way to spread illness to me. And thank you for explaining the jumbo mask. I saw a tiny sister that I hadn't seen in a couple years in the Walmart the other day, and I didn't understand about the jumbo mask. I thought she'd left the rest of the shadar at home.
Well, they're wearing them, and
they sure are. They look like they're from a Far Eastern country.
Yeah. Beginning to look like what the Islamic women wear, covering their faces.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's all strange stuff. But I'll tell you what, I got looking at the convention. Boy, I'll tell you, that's what my job is here at the Six Grains. You guys have to have some feelings for me, right? I mean, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I have to look at these conventions and I try to take some video clips. And I'll tell you what, it's really disturbing to me, some of the things I'm seeing. But one of the convention parts on Sunday morning is dealing with COVID. And I want to play a clip. I want you to hear it. You guys, you'll hear it and you'll see it if you're on Facebook and YouTube. But man, I'm telling you, they've gone overboard with this. Now, I want you to just pay attention. It's probably about a 3 or 4 minute video, but you'll hear it if you're on our radio network. And if you're on our Six Grains video suite. But man, I'll tell you, they really were paranoid. And this video will show you what I'm talking about. So let's play the clip. And I want you to listen in. I know you'll find it fascinating. So let's play it right now. I believe you'll hear it. Let's do it.
and all the conflicting news reports just added to the stress. Then my sister lost her job and had to move in with us. So yeah, it was me and Kelly, Nicole, and Dad.
20 seconds, son. 20 seconds.
Yeah, there's a video here. This is they're playing this at their Pursue Peace convention. So you have a witness man. He's really upset that the Watchtower is enforcing mask wearing, social distancing, washing your hands. And so this poor brother's there and he's washing his hands. He's in the house with a number of family members. And so the father, who is a staunch Jehovah's Witness, he's looking at his son washing his hands. And the son didn't, take 20 seconds as, the CDC, the government is suggesting you take 20 minutes to wash your hands, but he didn't take 20 minutes. So the father says, 20 minutes. I mean, the father is completely paranoid. Let's listen in. I want you to see how paranoid the witnesses are, and they're playing this at the convention. In fact, they're playing it. In fact, it was Sunday morning. Listen in.
Where's your mask?
Don't worry.
Here. You can use this one.
Where's your mask? You can use this one.
Listen, nobody at the warehouse is wearing masks. And do you know how many people have actually gotten sick? 0.
So far. You saw the last governing body update. We can't let down our...
So the poor brother, he's going off to work in the warehouse. And as he's going off, one of his Jehovah's Witness family members says, well, where's your mask? You going to bring your mask? He says, nobody's wearing masks in the warehouse. He feels like a fool. And this is even after, all of this stuff kind of got flushed down the toilet. People weren't doing this anymore. But he was still doing it. He was being pushed by his Jehovah's Witness family to continue with the COVID mandates and the COVID control that the Watchtower was dishing out to them. So listen in again.
Our guard, not now.
Dad, I get it, okay? Look, I think it's great that the brothers are trying to keep us safe. But
what?
don't you think that they're, overreacting?
I do. So the brother goes off to work, but before he goes to work, he has to stop and fill his gas tank up. And, he's really getting paranoid about this COVID virus. So he's there at the gas station, filling up his car with gas. And, some woman pulls in behind him. I don't think she was a Jehovah's Witness woman, but he doesn't have the mask completely over his nose. So as he's putting the gas in his car, the woman behind him, she suggests, pull your mask up. So, they're showing that one would have to really comply. And, you should be doing the right thing here. Completely cover your face with this mask. I mean, this is paranoia at its best. Listen in. He's at the gas station filling up.
Of course,
there's the woman.
it wasn't the brothers who had the problem.
Look at the woman.
It was me. A week later, I found out that a friend in our service group was in the hospital with COVID-19. He was young, and he'd been taking all the right precautions. I had really let my guard down.
Now is not the time to slacken our hand when it comes to safety. Don't let your guard down. Don't think the virus can affect you or your family.
I saw how the organization was really trying to protect us.
Oh, yeah.
And how much my decisions were affecting others, including the people I love the most. As the pandemic dragged on, I learned the importance of being humble and obedient. Following Jehovah's direction didn't just help us stay safe. It brought us peace.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, that is so,
especially with all that we are facing
so
today.
disgusting. Let me shut this thing
Like
off.
Gary, there are times that we may need to adjust our
just our thinking. You know, folks, I have to tell you.
Well, I'm very much in favor of washing hands. You should say happy birthday twice or alphabet twice. Any nurse or doctor will tell you that. And don't touch your face with the clean hands, and keep your hands clean. That's medical 101 that most of the public didn't know until recently.
Well,
but
no.
if you're in a car by yourself, you don't need a mask.
Well, Pixie, they're going overboard here. I mean, they're really making people paranoid. And this is the Sunday morning convention video. And man, they're really, yeah.
To put the
Can
word
you see what they're doing? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
You know, that's like, don't put religious icing on a scientific thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sir, go ahead. You're on with us.
It's interesting when you listen to this video how they're using, if you read in between the lines, they're using the COVID almost going back to what was that? And was it in the Watchtower or a talk? It said, we may ask you to do things that you may not understand or whatever, but it's about obedience. I'm not saying COVID is 100% a part of that, but they're using that as a tool to manipulate people. And then think about it. Look at the music they're playing. They're doing what my mom said to me years ago, that Jehovah's Witnesses are not emotionalism. Like if you go to a church, a Baptist church, they get emotional, you know, there's songs and whatnot. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that. That's where the Watchtower switched it up and finally realized how it works in other churches. And they've been doing this since they've been creating when they changed their jw.org and having all these videos, JW broadcasts, they use emotionalism and they play music. They know 100% what they're doing. And it's just trying to bring people back in to be obedient and to listen and say, look, we're right. And it's garbage. It is 100% garbage what they're doing, because it's not really in the need or it's to protect themselves. It's they want their people, in a sense, to have complete obedience, and they want your money. So if you did get sick for whatever reason, because I'm not saying somebody can't get COVID and take you down or whatever, depending on what your health is like, but they're looking out for their better good, and that's what it's all about: control and money, one way or the other. It all ties in together. That's just my opinion.
Well, it's a good opinion, Daniel. I certainly don't disagree with it. My goodness gracious, no, and they do use music. I'm just going to play a little touch. If you're going to, the witnesses are encouraged now. Now get a load of this. They have the convention. It's the regional convention, but it's all online. It's streaming. But what you're supposed to do is take 3 days to watch it all. So, for example, on Friday, you watch a segment or two. Then on Saturday, you watch a segment or two. And then on Sunday, you watch a segment or two. So it's tying up a 3-day weekend, really, that you have to listen to this baloney. But what they do, and I noticed it too, just like you said, they're using music to play on your emotions, Daniel. This is not fair. This is an evil cult that does this. And I have to tell you that I hope people are catching on to it. I think people are. But let me just play you a little bit, just to listen in here. I think you'll find it fascinating. Just listen in for a couple of minutes here to what's being said. This is the music they're playing, getting ready to come on with the convention. While they're showing Jehovah's Witnesses in the Kingdom Hall, all sitting together, and all races are enjoying life and smiling and happy. What a bunch of propaganda. That is not the real truth in the Kingdom Hall. These people are ready to slap each other in the face, believe me. But they're showing all these grandiose pictures. I mean, enough is enough. I can't even take it. I mean, I'm at puke point right now.
Hey, get to that delicious coconut yet.
Yeah, it's too. It's
you know.
Looks so good.
You know,
Hey,
when
Rick.
I was a young. Oh, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead,
I'm
Dan.
sorry to interrupt you.
All right, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, what Daniel said was well said. Very well said. Trying to get your money and control and what have you. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just remembering when I was a teenager. I lived in Watsonville, California. We went to the San Francisco Cow Palace for the summer convention, and you had brothers and sisters of all races there. And you would think, yeah, we all get along. We're standing side by side, singing the songs and listen to the talks. But when you got back to your regular congregation, is where you saw the difference. It was like almost like a mirage, illusion, is that everything is as happy, go lucky, whatever. And then you get back to your normal halls and you see how different ones are treated. I saw racism, but we didn't have a lot of African American in the Watsonville, California congregation. We had a Filipino and Hispanic, and the Hispanic especially were, unless you were buddy with like the circuit overseer or the presiding overseer at the time, you weren't a pioneer or something, you got, or if you were partaking at the memorial and you were too young in their eyes, like my dad. My dad was in his 40s when he was partaking, and he was white, but the prejudice, it went beyond color. It went is even as far as if you were partaking and they thought you were too young or you were female or whatever it was. But yeah, I saw a lot of nasty stuff growing up that I did not understand as a teenager, but now it makes much more sense when you get older and realize this organization promotes a lot of garbage that people don't realize. It's sometimes on a subliminal, it's subconscious, and you don't always pick up on it because you're focused on the love bombing. You're thinking, this is the paradise. This is the one true religion that I just happen to come into or I happen to be born into. And that's the joke that was on us. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Sorry.
Well, Daniel, always good to hear from you. But I like your comment about music. The videos accompanied by music, it tugs on your heartstrings. That's what they do. Emotionalism. I want to play another clip. Now, what's going on right now in the world, and you guys, I'm sure you're aware of it. The political scene is just unbelievable. It really, really is. One day there's all kinds of issues coming out against our former president, and then another day there's issues coming about the current president. It's an ongoing tug of war. And I know a lot of witnesses, not only ex-witnesses, but a lot of witnesses, that are deeply enrooted in the organization. They got to be talking about this. How can you just turn it off? How can you just take and, okay, turn it off? You can't. I mean, that is the talk of the day, political scene, obviously. So obviously, I'm thinking, or at least seeing, that some of these convention videos, that kind of not suggesting, but actually coming right out right and saying for the witnesses not to get involved in political concerns. Don't go voicing your opinion on who you think should be president or what happened and what didn't happen. They don't want you to be talking about this. They don't want you to talk about it at all. They want you to remain politically neutral. But how can you remain neutral when there's a big elephant in the room? Come on. This is what's going on in the world we're living in. I want to play you another clip. Stephen Lett. This guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, it's Chad. Before you get into the clip, I just wanted to point out you missed the whole story. You were covering earlier where they had sent out the note where they said nobody should feel pressured to go into field service.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That is an admission that they actually do pressure people. If they have to tell you not to do something, that means they know you're doing it. So that's something current and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses should think of, that they actually admitted that they do pressure people into going into field service. It's not strictly optional.
Well, that's a good point, Chad. No, right. I mean, that's exactly what cults do. And I know you study cults, and I know you know a lot of information about what they do, but that's exactly right. By them mentioning it means there's people that don't want to go on field service.
Yep. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you very much, Chad. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. So anyways, we got a clip I want to play you. You'll hear it if you're on YouTube and well, if you're on the radio network, you'll hear it in the 6-range video suite, but you'll see it. It's Stephen Lett. What is this guy for real? One time I used to cut Stephen some slack. I thought he might have been suffering from Bell palsy or some type of a neurological disease of some type, but I don't think he is anymore. I think he's just a genuine nutcase. I really do. I don't think this man is for real. This guy comes across as very condescending. He doesn't in any way.
Reminds me of Marshall Applewhite in that Heaven Gate cult, and a lot of other people have said this on their videos.
Yes, you're right, Pixie.
But I have studied communications, and I don't know what his game is. Or is there a susceptible group in a South Sea Island someplace that's hypnotized by his odd gestures and odd face? Because his expressions are, it's extreme.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I was the ministry school teacher at one time. And I used to follow the steps that were written out in the Qualified to be Ministers book. And they had facial expressions is something that you worked on. I think that Stephen Lett overworked it. I really do. I think his expressions are over the top.
That ministry school book was a very good book on how to do public speaking, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from where to hold the microphone. It's an excellent book. But I think there's a deeper thing there. I think maybe some of these, and I don't want to sound condescending. I don't want to sound like the rich white person here, but I'm going to say it the way I can say it. Is there a primitive tribe somewhere that if they see a video of Stephen Lett, they're going to think he has magical powers or something? And I don't mean this in comedy this time. I mean seriously, is he trying to do some sort of whammy on some group with some kind of anthropology that I'm not aware of? I think he's doing it on purpose.
Well, Pixie, it's just I cannot really connect with why he's doing it. I mean,
I
doesn't he?
can't either.
Doesn't he? He has to see himself. I tell people that even do programs here on the six screens. Even myself, I listen to what I say. I watch my YouTube because I want to try to make things better. But if I came across having facial expressions like that, I'd say, geez, I got to immediately stop that. That looks foolish. Isn't he seeing this?
But we're English speakers. I'm thinking, are there tribes in other places that are in a different culture than mine that are worshiping Stephen Lett's weird gestures? Do they think that makes him the big God guy?
Well, maybe those expressions, and maybe someday we'll find out more about it. Maybe the demonic expressions, maybe, I mean, I don't know what to say. I have no idea, but I would immediately stop. And you would think that other governing body members would say, Stephen, you're going overboard here. This is nutty, but they don't, nobody's saying a thing,
Us in English speaking countries in America and in Europe, it looks crazy as heck. It looks like a neurological problem. But maybe if you live in Papua New Guinea, maybe it looks like, oh, we want to send all our goods to him.
Yeah. Well,
you guys want to hear something funny?
We always want to hear something funny. Go ahead.
My daughter and her mom met him at an assembly. I don't know, maybe it was, I don't know, it was a couple years ago. It was before this whole COVID thing. And they thought this is my daughter telling me this, and her mom was in the background because she had me on speakerphone. They thought he had a stroke at one time. Is why he had those facial expressions. And somebody, when they met him, somebody asked him about, I don't know how they went about asking him, but they asked him about his facial expression. And he said that he used to, it's something to do with sign language. And so he used to teach sign language in some congregations. And so with sign language, you use more of a facial expression, but I don't buy into that. But I just thought it was funny that my daughter and them were there, met him, where somebody actually addressed it, because my daughter and my ex-wife thought he had a stroke. That's why he acted that way. And somebody asked him if he had a stroke, and he says no, he used to teach sign language. So I understand. Yes, I've seen people do sign language, and yes, they do have a little more facial expression, but his are creepy. When I've seen his videos, it creeps me the hell out. It's like, it's kind of like a joke being played right in front of your eyes. Like, how stupid could we be to believe what's being said? But that's just my opinion.
Rick, have you heard the story about, I think I heard it here on your site or either on Simon's site, that somebody said that the reason he has so expressive is because his parents were deaf, which sounds like a lie to me. But it sounds like some JW is trying to make up a story. But I heard that his parents were deaf, and that's why he's so expressive in his facial, expressions. Which I'm not buying myself, but I've heard that.
Well, no, that's interesting, Shirley. We got someone who wants to come on. Go ahead, sir. Do you have some information on this?
Hi, hey Rick.
Yeah.
I saw someone else there.
Go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead.
I saw a clip, a short video of him.
Come closer to your phone, sir. Come closer to your phone.
I saw a video of him speaking to a group of, I think it was a group of Bethelites, or a small group. It wasn't a large group. It wasn't us. And he was the most normal, intelligent sounding, clear, and reasonable looking person in the world. It's like, whoa, this cat is cool. He does it. That's an act. I swear it sounds crazy, and someone mentioned it. It's magic. It really is. It's magic, and it works on a level that some don't even understand. He knows what he's doing. He does it purposely, because otherwise, that man is straight as an arrow.
Well, that's interesting. Well, Joe, I see that's you. I didn't recognize you. But listen, you guys hang in if you can for a little bit. Can you hang in for a little bit? I want to talk to you guys in a little bit, okay?
We're not going anywhere.
All right, well, stay with us.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hey, yeah, Rick, it's Dan.
Yes, Dan.
I just wanted to say, I've been watching him too, and I have to agree with Pixie, but I think I might have figured out what's going on with him. And I really mean this. I really believe he's channeling. I don't believe there's anybody home, because you can't say the things that he does. Like you said, Rick, he's unconscionable. He's passive aggressive. He's not loving. And I think he's got an entity. I'm sorry. I know that's strong. I know that sounds like gossip, but I believe he's been taken over, because he just got this tone. I don't know if anybody's ever seen a channeler or somebody with a spirit talking through them. I mean, their voice, they take it over. And I think the man's been taken over. Like this guy said, in other settings, he's just fine. He's normal. But you put him out there, but here's the other thing, Rick. When you come on and you say, when these governing body come on and say they're the mediator, and you better listen to us like your life depends on it, because it does, they're placing themselves in the place of God. So they are mediums. They are mediums. And I think we're seeing channeling. That's just my thought, Rick.
Oh, it's a good thought, Dan. Well, thank you for chiming in. I never thought of that, but I'm coming to grips with what you're saying. Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Dan, I think he's an actor playing that he thinks he's playing a channeler that thinks he's playing God. I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Rick, don't forget to show the video.
In fact, I got the video up here next. Zach, you wait.
I think he's simply passing gas.
Well, we're gonna play the video. I do have the video up, so let's play the video.
Perpetual gas.
You'll hear Stephen Lett. Now let's get back to what he's talking about here. What he's talking about here is politics. He's saying that there's no place for Jehovah's Witnesses to talk about politics. Just get it out of your head. You're supposed to remain neutral. And then he also brings up, I'm only going to play about 2 minutes of it. And then he brings up the fact that the media is lying. I mean, this is what the Jehovah's Witnesses have been saying right along, that if you hear things in the media, don't pay any attention to it. It's a big lie. So let's play the clip right now. And here we go.
To cultivate and show love for the whole association of brothers. And doing so will require that you remain strictly neutral regarding the world's political affairs and other controversies, just as our leader remained neutral. At John 17:14, Jesus said of his disciples, "They are no part of the world, just as I am no part of the world." So during discussions in the ministry, or anywhere for that matter, remain strictly neutral on political topics. Take no position regarding what laws should be enacted, repealed, or changed, and don't pressure others to agree with your view. But to succeed in this, we must be careful not to allow the media of this world to manipulate our thinking. News broadcasts are often presented in a biased, opinionated way. So we've got to be careful not to adopt the bias of a commentator. Only if we keep our thinking neutral, will we be able to keep our speech and actions neutral also. And remember, your good example of showing love and Christian neutrality may attract honest-hearted ones to the truth.
Well, I hope not. So, I mean, that's Stephen Lett. I mean, that man really, he's not my favorite governing body member. As a matter of fact, I don't have any favorite governing body member. I think they're all a bunch of, seriously, they come across as, ruling a religion and spiritual giants. They really are nothing more than patients in a nursing home. That's how I look at them. Have you seen them lately?
That wasn't the cadence of a con man. I don't know what was. Thank you, Rick, for playing it without the picture.
Yeah.
He's got that con man.
Well, there you go. Well, you're right, Pixie. He is a con man. They're all con men. I mean, come on, it's a big scam. It's a big scam. That's all it is. But you know, another thing I wanted to play you, the convention. Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. I'm out here in California, and when I can't remember what month it was last year, but they had a notice. I was sent an email that they would be administering the vaccine at the Kingdom Hall. So, you know, I had a friend, I sent it to her. She's like, oh, that's a hoax, that they couldn't possibly do that. So I went out to Riverside and took pictures of it. They were out there on the Kingdom Hall property in the parking lot, set up, giving people injections. This is no part of the world. Everything they say is a lie.
Watchtower got, ma'am, Watchtower got compensation for giving those vaccinations. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely, they got government grants, just like Rite Aid and Green Walls, whatever. All of these places that had those injection sites set up, they get grand theft dough from the government for doing that. But while here he is saying, be no part of the world, this is just vulgar and demonic. And his facial gestures, remember the man in the leader of Heaven's Gate? He made exactly the same gestures on his face. You know, this is very upsetting to me. My daughter and my grandson is entrenched in this devilment. And there are so many people that are controlled, mind controlled by this. And the gentleman that said it's channeling and demonic energy, if people would research what that really is, they would understand that that's exactly what's happening here. So that's my statement.
I want to throw
God bless everybody.
I want to throw something out there too with that. I didn't know that they were actually doing that at the Kingdom Halls. But think about it. The governing body didn't come out flat out and say, you all need to go get vaccinated, but they let you know that what was I want to be fair here because I don't want to say a wrong number. Let's just say 90% of the Bethel family has been vaccinated. I don't remember exactly what they said, but when you make that statement, what are you telling the congregation? If the faithful and discreet slave is saying that, then we should lean towards that, right? I mean, if you're saying 90% of the Bethel family has been vaccinated, then like you said, if they're doing this at Kingdom Halls and they're getting some type of grants or payback, you know they are. That totally now makes sense. It just shows you how they use reverse psychology on their own people along with brainwashing.
Exactly. That's what this is. I wanted to say
against the government stuff.
I took pictures of the whole thing when I went out to see this setup that they had at the Kingdom Hall. I took pictures of them. I sent them to Mike and Kimmy. So it's on their channel if you want to see the pictures.
That's wild.
You know, they can tell people, so they are telling people to take the injections. And when I was there, and whatever people want to do should be up to them. But if they're telling everybody, be no part of the world, while they're doing this type of thing. And I also believe that this whole thing about scaring people half to death of returning to the Kingdom Hall and then telling them to return is just, like you said, reverse psychology, because they're selling Kingdom Halls. So you know what? Next year, when we talk to our family members, they'll say, oh, well, they had to sell all the Kingdom Halls because people were afraid to go to meetings. So they're so demonic that any way you look at it, their lives are so prolific. They plan so far ahead of time to control the minds of people. It's unbelievable, really.
I know Rick has got more to say. I just want to say this real quick. I've said it before, but I have friends in like Nigeria, and parts of Africa that were witnesses now or ex-witnesses. They did not get any help. They had headquarters there that could have put food into the congregations. And this one family I knew in particular, the mom was when they were doing book studies or like doing the meetings at the time, with like 6 people. They were splitting people, like six to 8 people in a home. And she went because in Nigeria and Lagos, they shut down the markets completely with COVID. So you could, here we can go and we can get groceries and you just come back home. They shut everything down. So those brothers and sisters, along with, I hate to use this expression, but worldly people were screwed. They were like, where do we can't go to work and we can't go shop to the shopping center. So she's thinking, well, I'll go ahead and go to the meeting. You know, there'll be 6 or 8 of us there, and hopefully the Watchtower will have, you know, what we do for food. You know, how do we survive this whole pandemic? Because there's some, I'm sorry, I forget the name of it. The Watchtower has a branch office there, not too far away. So she's thinking that the branch offices will be organized in a way to get food out to the congregation. So she goes to the meeting, and the brother makes, the elder there makes an announcement that sounds like it's so great news that the Watchtower has authorized them to take money out of the contribution boxes at the Kingdom Hall and dispense that to ones that are in need. And everybody looks at each other and goes, well, we're not at the Kingdom Hall and nobody's giving any money, so what do? They all realized at that point they were on their own. So she's the mom that I know, the sister that spent her whole life in the organization, is walking home, back to her home, and praying to God, what am I supposed to do for my family? If this is Jehovah's organization and the branch offices, why aren't they, you know, dispensing food out or helping us in some way? And she's about home, and of all things, passes a Catholic church that has a big sign out, and there's people in lines. They're giving out food. It didn't matter if you were a Catholic or not. They were dispensing out food. And at that point, she goes, this is not the truth. How could the Catholic Church be taking care of people that are not even, it doesn't even matter what your belief system is. And my own organization that's supposed to be the only true worshipers of God is doing nothing for us here. And that day she went home and told her kids, we're done. This is not the truth. She already had issues already, the way the organization treated people, but that summed it up. But imagine that, a Catholic church giving out food to people.
Well, that's what they do, Daniel. That's exactly what they do. Yeah, well, thank you for commenting, Daniel. And also the sister from California there. Thank you very much, too, for coming in. Yeah, so they got these video clips I got here from the convention. I've been reviewing it this week. You know how sickening that is? I'm serious. It's just pukey city. So, but I've been looking at it and trying to pull some clips out. But I pulled another clip out I wanted you to see. Now, this clip, it got my attention because they're back to the same old tricks. You know, they've been using bunker videos and stormtroopers coming in and arresting the witnesses. Well, they're back to the same tricks this time around. So I did capture a little clip on the convention Sunday morning concerning how some of the elders were put in prison. Yeah, unjustly. But I'm thinking there's more to this than we're thinking. I'm just thinking out loud. Don't take this to the bank and cash it. But I'm just thinking out loud that they're prepping or preparing many of the Jehovah's Witnesses, in fact, all of the Jehovah's Witnesses, to know that there's going to be some elders and perhaps even governing body members sent to prison. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is like a prepping work. They're telling you before they tell you. And even that last clip I played with Stephen Lett, where he said, don't believe the media. Don't believe what you're hearing in the media. I mean, we're hearing all kinds of things. We're hearing about all this child sexual abuse, and it's all being covered up. We're hearing all kinds of things about shunning and how some of the governments are looking into that practice. But don't believe it. Don't believe it. That's the works of Satan. So they're playing that game. So now I come across this video clip and it's showing elders in prison. I'm going to play the clip. I want you to see the clip. It's only a short clip, but let's play the clip right now.
When everything changed, we suddenly found ourselves locked up together. I tried to show that same spirit so that we could stay united.
It's showing a group of about 6, 7 elders in prison. And, behind bars, they got their prison uniforms on. And I'm sure, at least fairly sure, that this is a way to condition you, to get used to the idea of elders being locked up. I believe they will be. If they continue what they're doing and covering up child molestation and having people die from refusing blood transfusions and everything else, I believe some of these elders could land up in prison. So I do believe they're preparing. Let's listen in to the rest. I mean, take a look at that guy right there. Doesn't he look like a German Gestapo? He's armed. He's a prison.
He's a tough guy, but that's the cleanest prison I ever saw, and they sure look well fed. Is that the Bethel sick bay? Where'd they film that?
Are you seeing this? Are you watching this on YouTube, Pixie?
I watched it earlier today. I know exactly the scene you got on there.
Well, yeah, they got these movie. I mean, these guys, they look kind of
some bunk beds, some wire, and the gentlemen are real handsome, but they're young and well fed. They don't look like prisoners.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. All of these handsome young guys, and they don't have any gruffle. Their beards aren't growing out. I mean, this is not real. The thing I'm going to tell you, first of all, that the witnesses, their videos aren't too bad. They're not too bad.
Oh, it's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
But that you could eat off that floor. They need a wind-up rat to go across that thing.
Yeah. But the thing I'm thinking, Pixie, is, they could kind of, discount this whole thing. Put some gruffle on the guy's face, give him a dirty uniform. Geez, they're walking around like it's like they're in a hospital somewhere. I mean, it's a prison. It's not a hospital. It's crazy. But anyways,
Rick,
well, maybe they need to put them in the loony bin instead of the jailhouse.
I'm with you. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead, Daniel.
I think if you look at, there's a much bigger picture, and somehow, though, I don't know. And maybe it is because the Watchtower has somebody doing auto writing or they're doing something in spiritism, so they know. The Watchtower always plays on in history is when the world is going through its shifts in a negative way, they play, Armageddon's right around the corner. It's Armageddon. They're going to be persecuting us. But it's like if you go back to the war with Hitler. I grew up with the knowledge that what was being told to me is that witnesses were being persecuted. They didn't tell me the Jews were being persecuted. They didn't say everybody that didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes was being persecuted. They said this is what the witnesses went through, as if they were being personally attacked, as like it was a persecution because of their belief system, but not telling us the whole story. And you remember years ago a movie came out. What was that one that even the Watchtower recommended people not to go and see?
Schindler's List.
I can't remember the name of it now.
Schindler's List.
Yes. They actually made a comment at our Kingdom Hall not to go and see this. It wasn't just because it was rated R. It was, they used that excuse, but evidently witnesses were going and seeing that, and they had a local needs talk at our Kingdom Hall. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And for us not to go and see that. So what I'm saying is everything that goes on, Watchtower plays that in their benefit to scare people. Look at 9/11. And it wasn't just Jehovah's Witnesses. Look how many people that started going back to church after 9/11. Yeah. But Watchtower played on that. They're doing the same thing with COVID. They're doing the same thing with all of this and playing these emotional videos. They've just stepped up their game.
Well, yes, they have, Daniel.
I got a question for Pixie.
Go ahead, give the question to Pixie.
I have a question for Pixie. I just can't resist. I know she'll give a good answer. Pixie.
Yes?
You said that was the cleanest prison you've ever seen. How many prisons have you been in?
I was a reporter.
Have you been in many?
I was a reporter.
So how many have you been in?
I had every beat except the public hanging and the execution, sir. I was a reporter.
I knew you'd have a good answer. I just couldn't resist that one. You do know that.
You know, when they did Dracula on Broadway, they had a wind-up rat that went across the stage. So I think in that scene, they should have the little plastic wind-up rat going across the scene.
Well, there you go.
Thank you.
I think that would have been good. But you know what I'm seeing here when I see this video, let's just play the end of it here, see if there's any more you want to see. Let me just see if there's any more we have to see here.
And with Jehovah's help, we did.
All right, so that's we'll stop sharing that. So
now,
yeah.
Did you notice what our sister did? And
well, anyways, you know, these guys are just they're trying to prepare the flock. This is what I'm thinking. They're preparing the flock for some of the higher ups getting arrested unjustly. That's my feelings on it, because this is kind of over the top. So, you know, the Watchtower, they've been settling a lot of their court cases out of court. And, you know, a lot of it isn't even being heard or seen on the internet. But just because someone settles out of court, it doesn't mean that they're not guilty. And that's exactly what the Watchtower is doing. They're trying to minimize their guiltiness, I suppose you could say. So I'm thinking the Jehovah's Witnesses are using all of their possible abilities and videos to try to dissuade, or at least let Jehovah's Witnesses know that when Jehovah's Witnesses are imprisoned, it's unjust. It's unjust. It's persecution. That's my feelings on it. Yes.
Hey, Rick, have you thought about this? Look at the news lately. If this goes through and actually does happen, 87,000, am I saying that right? 87,000 IRS like policemen that are going to be armed. If this actually happens, do you think Watchtower is fearing that a little bit? Think about it.
Well,
if you have armed IRS men coming to your door and they feel Watchtower hasn't paid their dues or whatever and could be arrested, if you're already implanting that in their head ahead of time, if we get arrested, look at the persecution. Know that we're close at the end. It's whatever. Like you've always said, Watchtower tells you before they tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do you know that they're not freaking out a little bit with this whole thing? Because this is, if we actually, and I'm not trying to get political, I apologize, but if this actually happens, this is history changing. And I could see, I didn't think about it until things you're sharing tonight. Watchtower could have themselves in a scare. And so if they prepare their people, it's just persecution from Satan.
Yeah.
Then they try to hold the organization together. Because what if they all go down, you know?
Well,
I'm not saying that's going to happen.
Well, no, it's something to think about. But here's how I'm looking at it, Daniel. The Watchtower is part of this whole arrangement. They are involved in this whole reset, new world order, globalism. If that's existing, you can bet your bottom dollar that the Watchtower is involved with it. And so they're going to be immune. Nobody, I mean, stop and think about it. Look at all the crimes. Look at all the crimes the Watchtower has caused and actually has been involved in, covering up child sexual abuse, allowing people to kill themselves because of the shunning practice. Look at all of this stuff. People dying from refusing blood transfusions, all of these things. Look at all. Hold on,
Think
Daniel.
about what you're saying.
Yeah. Let me finish, Daniel. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Let me finish. Hold on. Just no. I don't interrupt you. So just let me speak. Okay. All right. So what happens here?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what happens here is the Watchtower is immune to all of this. They're not gonna be in trouble because they're part of the whole arrangement. They're being protected. They're being protected by, at least I think, they're playing a role in this new reset. Okay, Daniel, go ahead.
I apologize, Rick. I get excited sometimes, and I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just thinking, what if it goes the other way? What if too much attention has been drawn on them, and whoever is backing them or whoever they're a puppet? And there is somebody else leading us. So what if all this attention is going to be their downside? All the publicity, all the people that are out are protesting and bringing it to light. What if that is what brings them down, and whoever is backing them is where they go down, because they don't want that heat. They don't want that. I'm just throwing that out there. I have no idea, but maybe that's their downfall. They thought they were gods. They were untouchable. They thought they were the mafia. And eventually darkness gets light shined on them, and you can't hide anymore. I mean, yes, a lot of people get away with stuff, but maybe this is the time that it's coming, and that the Watchtower is or the leaders of the Watchtower, or I'd say the governing body members, what if they're fearing that something's going to happen? Because why else would you be preparing your members that even if we got arrested and showing
only time will tell, Daniel. Only time will tell. Hey, listen, we got to kind of cut it short here. I hate to do it, but we've got so many things we have to discuss here. Okay, no problem. You don't have to be sorry, but just that we have a news program. We got certain things we have to meet at certain times. But anyways, Joe and Fran, are you out there? Are you out there? If you'd like to come in right now, I'd love to talk to you. Joe and Fran out of New York. Witnesses that just exited the
Yep.
Jehovah. There you
We're
are.
here, Rick.
All right. Well, glad to have you on. Sorry for the delay. We had some issues earlier with our sound problems and what have you, but I'm glad that we got it straightened out. I'm glad you guys are on with us. Now, just to recap, you guys have been out since last December, was it?
Yes.
So so 2021 December, you guys fled the Watchtower. You kind of did it kind of like fading away, but now you think they're catching on to you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're shunning us. Our kids have written letters to us saying that they won't have any more association with us. What else? Yeah, so it's getting closer and closer. Question is whether we disassociate now before they disfellowship us. So that's where we're at.
Well, it's a terrible position to be in, and I know that you're looking for some advice, just like all of us did at one time. I did send you.
Rick, if I could say, Rick, that the longer we stay connected, the more difficult it is to connect with friends who need support, local friends who need support, XJWs, who need it and become, the support for each other. It's crazy. If we dissociate, we can do it immediately, openly. But then, of course, we, immediately become no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses at the meeting, which is not, I'm not too worried about that. The only thing is it kind of cuts off things pretty dramatically for the family. And there may still be good reason to remain connection to some, because we've got at least one of the family members that is more like a bridge, who's trying to stay connected, even though there's a lot of conflict for her from one of my daughters.
And even her husband, who's an elder,
yeah.
he came over on his own. He didn't, recommend that he come over, and he came over and he said that we're going in the wrong direction. And Joe kind of got upset with him.
I had no need for him to tell me that.
So basically he walked out, and then Joe texted him and apologized, because he really is trying to be sincere. He really is trying to, so we're kind of like in a quandary. So yeah, if anybody has any suggestions, we're open.
Well, if you don't mind, can I read portions of the letter that you wrote and I wrote? Can I read some of that? Would that be okay?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
All right. So I did get an email this week. Hi, Rick. I just need your input. Elders and our children are getting more demanding. Well, that's what they do, right? And we are ready. Yep. And we are ready to disassociate before we get disfellowshipped. Any insight that you may have would help. Thanks, Joe and Fran. So, okay, so I got thinking about it, my wife and I, Susan, and we kind of thought about it. And what are we going to say to Joe and Fran? And then we're going to open up the lines, because I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. But, I don't have all the answers either. This is a very difficult thing when it comes to disassociation and disconnecting from the organization. But I wrote back, hi, Joe and Fran. Susan and I see things are moving very quickly, and there are many things to consider. So I have points here to consider. So point 1 to consider right now is your position is debatable. What you do know is they are catching up to your disconnection. So they're finding out that you guys really don't want to be witnesses anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
they should be. If
the family for sure knows.
And I mean, I even told the elders who said they wanted to meet with us. I said, really, that won't be necessary. I said, don't contact us again. If we're interested, we'll call you. So I think they kind of get the idea that we're not interested.
Yeah, so what we call this is a catch-22. I write back and say, you guys are in a catch-22. Damned if you officially sever your ties, and damned if you play it cozy and fade. In other words, in both cases, they're gonna kind of shun you, right? Which they're doing now. So so you will have to pick the lesser of two evils. So that's one thought that I had. And then point two, by playing it cozy and slowly fading, the punishment might not be as harsh, at least for a while. You will always be able to disassociate before they invite you to appear for judicial committee hearings. So in other words, I think what you're trying to do here, and correct me if you're wrong, but you want to disassociate rather than be disfellowshipped. Is that your position?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah, we want to be in control.
All right. Well, no, I can understand that. That's a good thing. So now I have point three. One thing that could be favorable is any medical issue either of you may have. However, this concern may be considered and can certainly halt and sometimes terminate their pursuit against you. So I'm not going to get into your medical history here, but if there is any medical history or any medical issues that could...
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll keep that in mind. I didn't realize that. Good.
Now, the reason why I bring that up is I personally experienced this myself. My wife, well, she died back in 2012, but she left the organization as I did, and her name was Inez. And anyways, she was really the first to start distancing herself, and then she kind of talked to me about it, and we both got out. So they wanted to disfellowship us, and they called for a judicial committee hearing. So I went down to the hearing, but she was sick. She had a brain hemorrhage back in 1989, and she had these wicked seizures and these epileptic seizures that she had. And I told her not any anxiety could bring this up and create issues for her. So I told her not to come to the judicial hearing that they were having for us. I said, you stay home. And so they just fellowshipped her in absentia. In other words, without her even being there. That's how nice these guys are. You know, I told them that she was sick and couldn't be there, but they just fellowshipped her before they just fellowshipped me. And so anyways, the Watchtower, the local elders disfellowshipped her, but the governing body overturned it, which is really unusual. And they overturned it on the basis of her being sick, and they didn't want to cause, because a person could really say, look at, you caused my wife to die, or you caused my wife to have medical issues because of your pursuing this issue of disfellowshipping. So that is something, and I know people have actually got off because of medical issues.
Right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. But we'll see.
So that's something you should think about. So, the final decision is up to you guys. Pray about it, and I hope all good things can happen. But I want to open up the lines. We do have a number of people listening in tonight, and I'd like to get their thoughts on all of this. Now, Joe and Fran, they don't want to be disfellowshipped. They would rather disassociate. What do you guys feel? What would you like to tell Joe and Fran tonight? Come on now, don't be bashful.
Rick, this is Scott from Florida.
Yes, Scott.
No, I didn't disassociate myself. I just faded. And I found for me personally, that worked the best. Yes, they came to the door a handful of times. I told the brothers I wasn't interested. I was always polite and nice to them, but I was firm and made sure they understood it. Sounds like you folks have done similar. And basically, eventually, they just stopped coming. And I live in a large metropolitan area, so I almost never run into any of the friends. But amazingly, when I do, they'll come right over to me and shake my hand and say, "Hey, how are you doing, brother?" And they just thought I moved, you know? So I'll just sit there and chat with them and stuff like that and go about my business. But if they ask anything, I'll tell them. I'm not ashamed of it. It doesn't bother me. But I didn't want to disassociate myself only because I didn't want to, I wasn't going to be judged by man anymore, and I was done with it. So I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their judgment. I was never going to go sit on a judicial committee. There's no freaking way I was ever going to do that. That's for sure. So that was just my experience. The fading worked out pretty good. My family did cut me off because they eventually saw posts on Facebook and different sites where I started talking politically. And so one day, a couple of them approached me, some of my relatives and friends, and they're like, "Hey, we noticed this about your posts," and they asked me, and so I just told them. I told them the way I felt, and I said, "Remember, you came and asked me. I never pushed anything on you. I never told your kids not to go to the Kingdom Hall. You came, you asked, and I explained it." And some of my relatives I haven't spoken to in over a decade. My own brother hasn't talked to me in about a decade, 10 years, after my wife died even. Didn't even, doesn't even bother to call and check on me. So, yeah, they'll cut you off pretty quick. But I think it's kind of like Rick said, it may be a little less harsh. And that's about all I would probably want to say about that. So it's your choice, but I certainly don't know your circumstances. So that's all I had all the advice I have to offer, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That helps.
Tell them you're moving, even if you don't move, and they'll leave you alone.
Hello?
Oh,
Tell them you're moving. You don't move, and they'll leave you alone.
Everyone would know. This area, we've got a lot of people in the area. They would know.
Hello?
Everybody knows everybody.
We're very visible. We have a visible business.
Yeah, we get
Hello?
some more people. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, it's Zachary. So am I hearing right? You'd rather disassociate yourselves rather than meet with a judicial committee and get this fellowship?
Oh, there's no way I'm going to meet with a judicial committee. No way. No way.
The way I understand it is even if you're being summoned by a judicial committee, at any point in the process, you can write a letter of disassociation.
Right.
And at the point that the letter of disassociation is written and given to, I guess, the body of elders or even a judicial committee if it's already started, right. They're supposed to take all the notes and everything for the judicial committee. That stuff is all supposed to be sealed, and the disassociation letter takes precedent. Right. And then the idea is that at some later date, if you should choose to want to be reinstated as a witness, then they open up the judicial committee stuff, and then they deal with that at that time.
Yeah,
so if you want to disassociate yourself, I was an elder for a good amount of time, and was a presiding overseer for about a decade. But if you want to disassociate yourself, my understanding is that you can do that at any time, and any judicial stuff stops. But a disassociated person is treated just like a disfellowship person, and the announcement.
Yes.
And the announcement is the same announcement that so and so is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes, not a problem. Here's the thing, brother, and I appreciate the insight there. Again, number one, there's no way we're going to go in front of a judicial committee. I have absolutely no need for their input. Number one. Number two, the reason why we would want to disassociate is because we want to open ourselves up and be totally free to openly start advertising for XJW to find them in the area. We want to be absolutely visible to them so that we can start forming some kind of groups, or at least, interaction with them.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. So, yeah, you get to do it. If you do meet with the judicial committee, which you're not doing, but if you find out that they decide to disfellowship you, they have to wait 7 days before they make an announcement.
Right.
And
so I got time. In other words, if
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Zach?
Yeah.
Just going off of what they're saying that they want to be able to do, whether you get disfellowship or you write a letter of disassociation, they would have the same power to do what they want to do. I mean, it's. I guess the difference would be is you did it instead of them doing it. But either way it goes, they can still do what they want to do. Is right?
They have no real power. They're not a real court. Tell them you're bringing a lawyer and they'll shut down on you. They will ignore you because they're not a real court. They have no real power. If they asked you to show up, it's not a real subpoena. So factor that in and don't fear them. Fear no man.
Oh, I don't know. In fact, when I told them, I said, I'd be more than happy to meet with you if we can make it with another small group of interested people. They said, well, I don't think we can do that. I said, well, if you can come up with some arrangement that'll work, let me know.
What can I ask you this? What is their accusation, or what's the specific thing they want to meet with you about? What are they calling it?
Well, we've already talked to them 3 times. They know that we're looking outside the organization, that we're researching apostate literature, so probably on apostasy.
Number one, and number two, they know that I have zero respect for the governing body.
Yeah. When you met with them, how many people did you meet with? Was it 2 or was it more than 2?
It was 2, and it was during COVID, so it was on Zoom, and it was the same 2 brothers, and we met 3 times. The initial time was for us to tell them what we were concerned about. We went to them. They didn't come to us. And then the second and third time they were following up, and our adult children were texting the elders. They were texting them everything that we were saying. Our kids were turning us in, basically, to the elders.
Oh, we've got everybody on this case.
So, when they're meeting with you and there's just 2 of them, they consider that to be the investigation phase.
Yeah,
they're investigating.
Yeah,
they're gathering stuff together, and even if your children were texting them, I wonder if 2 of them were talking to them. Or I guess if you send a text, 2 people can review a text. But that's the investigation phase. And the next thing they would, if they feel that, oh, there's a sin, a serious sin, a gross sin, and like you said, was it apostasy? Do you think that's what they're...
Well, we were unwilling to stop, number one, researching, and also showing tremendous concern for how bad the policy is,
with
the Watchtower's policy on CSA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing they would, if they feel like they've found stuff, then the next thing they would try to do is to set up a judicial committee. And then at that point, it would have to be at least 3 brothers on the committee.
The 2 of them wanted to meet with us, and we put them off. And I said, no, that's not going to work. We're not interested.
There's 2 of them wanting to meet with you.
They did, yeah. And I told them, oh, it's not going to work.
Yeah, they wanted to do that last Sunday, and we were on our way out. We were going to a picnic, and we weren't going to be on Zoom. Yes, so we haven't been at the meetings. We haven't been in service. So he said, we're concerned about your spiritual health, and we want to see where you're at with things.
And I told them, I said, well, I think your concern is not the same as my concern. And so I think we can get together on that.
Right. Well, at any time, if things haven't changed, because my last meeting was in 2008, so the years are adding up. But if things have not changed at any time, you can write a letter of disassociation, and they would, they read that out. They you know,
we've got it crafted already, actually.
But go ahead. And the thing that Daniel said just now, I agree with that. That whether you are disfellowshipped or whether you disassociate yourself, either way, you still can do what you want to do.
Yeah, I think what's in there, which we're not saying, is there's a relationship that we're trying to retain with one of our daughters, because she's so conflicted. Her husband is an elder, yet she has a close relationship with us, and she wants.
Oh, I understand. Yes.
So I don't.
That's a hard one.
I don't want to burn a bridge for her feeling.
To add, Adam.
But even having that beautiful relationship, because I've experienced this firsthand, whether I happen just to fade out, but by my family I'm being treated just as it was announced off the platform. But whether you write your disassociation letter, it's more of, this is what I have learned, and this is just my piece of advice. When you're in the Watchtower, you have no identity and you have no power. So when you're leaving the Watchtower, is what hurts people, and what people's biggest struggles is trying to find their identity. And I'm not saying you guys are in that, but something you could think about is even just mentally, of just thinking of, I'm taking my power back and taking my identity back. And in that might be why you feel like to write your letter. I would never tell anybody what to do on that case, because everybody's got a different situation. But I would say in your case, my daughter's 12. She was, was she 4 when I left? And I've seen her maybe twice, other than video calls. But I'm not disfellowshipped, but I'm treated as if I am. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, work on yourselves to make sure that you take your power back, you reclaim your identity, and you be strong. In everything else.
Okay, Daniel, let them respond, Daniel. Let them respond.
Thing.
Sorry. We got a number of people who want to come in. So, if you guys have already commented, we've got so many other people who want to comment.
I would like to say one more thing. There are two, it would sound like there are only 2 options, meeting with a judicial committee or disassociating themselves. And I wonder if there's not another option. Is the option still open to just fade away?
Yes, but we still want to do it openly and visibly, because we're very visible, and I want to visibly open up to X's around here.
Okay.
So Joe wants to make a statement, and that's okay. That's exactly how I felt too.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a statement. Hey, Joe and Fran, we got a lot of people trying to come in. So if you haven't commented yet, just hold back for a few minutes. Let some new people come in. Go ahead, say hello to Fran, say hello to Joe. What would you want to tell them? Come on now. We had a number of people.
I don't think you two should be giving them power. You're giving them the power with the letter. I mean, just speaking from my own, listening to you. You're giving them the power. You're being nice about it. But if you think about it now, you realize it's a cult. Because if you don't want to be a Baptist or an Episcopalian anymore, you don't have to go through all this nonsense,
Right.
Just stop going. You just stop going. So you see all this letter, I think I would just fade away, because the congregation I grew up. We only had one anointed brother, and he lives near. When I was a kid, I'm grown now. Obviously, he lives near me. He and his wife found out that it was all nonsense, and they just walked away. He was not disfellowshipped or anything. They just walked away. Now, I don't know about letters and all that. I wasn't like in his personal business, but they just walked away.
Yeah,
He has not been disfellowshipped.
See, we don't want to fade. Actually, we want to actually be an activist. And being an activist is not fading. You know, it's putting ourselves out there visibly. So and
And another thing is, you would lose contact with one of your children, right? That's kind of a slippery slope.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen either way. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's because even now, they're even if we continue to fade, their attitude still is it's dangerous. It's spiritually dangerous being involved with us.
Yeah.
So it's as good as happened, actually.
Are your kids like they're grown? They're not like they're teenagers, or they're grown?
No, adults. They're adults.
Oh, okay.
30s to 40s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With 3 elders.
Right, I see. So I mean, look, they're grown. You have to do your thing. Do what's right for you two. You know, you have to live your life.
Do that. No problem doing that. I just want to do a little
There's so much
damage.
power they're having over you with the letters. Just walk away. In my eyes, don't ignore the meeting. I want to meet with you such and such a date. Just ignore it, or get a lawyer if they bother you to that point. Rent them a lawyer. You know?
So far, we know how to keep them away.
Yeah, just walk away. Basically, don't let them get to you with the letters and all this. This is crazy. Now you realize you're really in a cult because of what you're going through. To get out. To get out. Yeah.
No, good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Well, I have to say, Fran and Joe, really, that this is amazing. In other words, you guys, you're not really fearing them. You want to make a statement. You want to become activists. But I'm going to tell you right now, if that's your position, then why even prolong it? This is the position. This
right.
Is,
The goal buried in here is I want my family to see that I'm being reasonable about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Well, good for you. Well, good.
And that's the bigger issue because there's no problem. We can blow ourselves right out of the organization, no problem.
Well, good. Well, Joe, you're my kind. You're my kind of man. You and Fran both. I mean, really, that's the position that I took, and I had many relatives and children.
Yeah.
I knew when I dropped the bomb on them that was it, but I felt like Harry Truman when he dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. In other words,
I don't want to do that. I don't want to bomb. I want them to every inch of the way. I want them to give them something to think deeper about.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the position you're taking. And I'm going to tell you another thing, too. You guys are in a pretty good position right now, because if you've been listening into the program tonight, so many new people are calling in, Joe and Fran.
Yeah.
And that shows me that shows me that people are leaving the Watchtower. This always hasn't been the case. So even your children, in their 30s, their early 40s, they're going to see this.
Rick, they've got so much depth of relationships because there's at least 3 elders. They've been overseas to different places. They've been in different branches of the service. They've got group people all over the place. Bethel, I'm sure that they know people that are in the same exact situation that we're in, and they're gonna find that there are others like them who are either fading or jumping right out.
You're absolutely right. So the timing is really good for you guys. It really, really is.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of your children, they got to see this. They got to see some of the stupidity that's going on in the organization. Yeah.
And they're going to see.
Rick, is there time to ask him a question?
Go ahead. You want to ask a question?
Like how they got out?
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you guys don't mind sharing, what was the last straw? What woke you guys up? If you don't mind sharing.
Well, the first straw was I couldn't stomach the Splain, Lat, and any of the others. I just couldn't stomach their communication. Literally, I couldn't stomach it. It's like something is horribly wrong with what they're putting across. Number one. Number two, I started to, I can't remember how I came across the first information because I was so disgusted at that point. And then I found out about the CSA, and I said, "This is too much." Had I known that before we even started, I would never, ever, ever have gotten involved. And at that point, it's like, this is it.
And this was in December, and I had been regular auxiliary pioneering for the last 5 years, doing 50 hours plus a month. And I came home one day, and Joe said, "You've got to watch this." And I said, "I don't want to hear it. I don't want to watch it. I don't want." And we kind of got in an argument, and he said, "You've got to really, okay, all right, I'll just to shut him up. I was going to listen to it." And by the next day, I was convinced this is sick. The CSA just turned my stomach because we had 4 children that were born in, and we didn't know any of this stuff that was going on. And from that point, it was not the same. And I told the elder in December, I said, "I have to take a break. I'm not going to be auxiliary pioneering anymore. I just need a break." And I didn't tell him why. Yeah. And he's the same brother that's been bugging us, him and another elder.
And we chose personally, both of us, to go to the elders and tell them our concerns about that. And they want.
Yeah, that's the trap. That's the trap you fall into. You think you're safe to go to them, and then it's.
No, honestly, it wasn't a question of safety. I wanted them to know that I did not pleased with that at all.
So then they had a warning talk. They had a warning talk. They called it a warning talk, and it was all about. They talked about PMO. They said, "Now, if you never heard what a PMO," those friends were getting a witness about what we're doing, what Rick has been doing. They got a half-hour talk about being PMO at the Kingdom Hall.
Now they know what PMO is, and honestly, he was.
So they gave a local news talk on you guys.
Yes, yes.
And he was probably explaining what some of those are going through, and helping them to identify that they're also PMO. So I think it was very helpful.
To add to the mix, when Joe and I were coming in this organization, the ones that studied with us were special pioneers, husband and wife special pioneers. He went on to be a CO, and now his position is going after the apostates and being on top of the apostates. And we talked to him, and he said, "Joe," he said, "you sound just like an apostate." He said, "My father became an apostate. I know what it sounds like." And he went to our kids because all our kids knew him. And he put the fear in our children about, what we were getting into. And from that point on, it was over. It's really, it's
they were doing damage control.
Oh, absolutely.
He said, Joe, where would you go to? And I said, "Why would I want to go anywhere else?" And it's like, what do you got some problem? It's like, you can have faith in God without joining a cult. Oh, well, it was very.
That's where the scripture comes into, because my dad did the same thing to me when I started talking to him, thinking it was safe because they raised me in this. I thought I was safe. I wasn't talking to anybody else. I didn't even talk to my siblings. I was talking to my parents, and my dad asked me the question because at one point he saw what I was saying. He goes, "Well, where would we go?" They're using that, and I didn't catch on at the point. They're using that scripture, but they're taking it out of context. I think it was with the disciples or something. I can't remember the exact scripture, but that shows you what gets ingrained in them. They shut down.
It also showed me how little of a relationship they have with Jesus Christ. They just don't have any relationship with him. It's all cult. It's all cult.
No, Well, they don't. He's been hijacked through the whole organization.
Yeah.
Well, this is very fascinating, Joe and Fran. Very, very fascinating. But I'm getting something by listening to you tonight and listening to the callers coming in. I'm starting to gather some information here that is helpful to me. I don't think you guys really care. You've had enough of the Watchtower. I know my children are in it, as you're thinking, and you have a lot of friends. But you know something? It's more important for me to make a statement and say, "That's it. I've had enough." And if that's the case, then I would say go for it and, toodaloo to these nuts. And the only thing I can say is you are in a good time right now. More and more people are getting out of the Watchtower, and perhaps even your children are going to see this. So maybe that statement of "I'm leaving" can jolt them loose as well.
Yeah.
Only time could tell,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to be careful. Just don't want to jolt. Just want them to think it through.
There you go. We got a sister coming in. Go ahead. Yep.
Hey, Rick, this is Elaine. I was on YouTube, JW Escape, and I wanted to say hi to Joe and Fran. I've listened to you all for the past few weeks that you've been on, and I just wanted to remind you that when the pressure's on and the elders are texting you and they're pressuring you and telling you that you have some spiritual issues and all that, just to remind you when the pressure's on that you're not under their rules anymore. You don't have to abide rules anymore. They have no control. You are in
absolutely. I truly appreciate that, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I think
and when it's easy to say it now, but when the pressure's on, they're nothing, and you've conquered evil.
Yeah.
You woke up under
the biggest concern at this point is I want to be sensitive to the delicate feeling, to the delicateness of my daughter, actually, and maybe some of the others. And that's
so you don't have to write a letter because that's their rule. They have no rule over you. You could just walk away. You don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. You're not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. And you don't have to write a letter to declare that.
But then they're going to disfellowship.
Well, but they're going to do whatever they want to do, no matter what. I wrote a formal letter of excommunication in the late 80s. They refused to accept it, and then they finally fellowshipped me, and I've been shunned by my family ever since. And my brothers don't even know why they're shunning me. They have no clue.
Well, why would they refuse to accept it? I mean,
that was the late 80s. I was 23 years old. It was these elders. They just were like, no, you're out of your mind. Just come on back. And I said,
that's crazy.
And I didn't. But the point, they have no rule over you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Rick, to go along with what she's saying.
Daniel, hold on.
Daniel,
Daniel, can you hold on one second? We got some other people that want to come in. Just hold on. We'll let some other people voice their opinion. We have another man that wanted to come in. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Rick, this is Michael. I listen to Elaine all the time. She's amazing lady.
She does wonderful. She does a great job. She's a wonderful woman. Yeah.
I actually told my friend who's an elder to try to listen to her. And anyway, but we were just talking about, mine was clear back in the 70s and 75, 76 area. And when they came to me, they were friends of mine, and we built Kingdom Halls together, and they didn't want to disfellowship me. They had tears in their eyes talking to me. And I said, look, I can't believe in this 607 thing. I study Jewish history all the time, and it was 587. It wasn't 607. And there's no 1975. That's not going to be happening. I told Fred France that. I told Fred France that personally. And and I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to make it easy on you guys. You don't have to disfellowship me. I'm going to walk away. And I said, and if you do anything to me or my family, I'll sue you. That's what I told him. I walked away. Nothing ever happened to me. And, I got It took about 40 years. I started listening to Rick. I found him accidentally. It was amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that's what I did. I did, like Elaine said, don't let them have no power over you.
Okay, well, so if we just quote unquote walk away and just start openly doing things activist type, what's their next move?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't been in the organization for probably 40 years. One question they did ask me was that, where are you going to go to? And I told them I'm going to go to Jesus Christ.
I laughed when they said that.
That I'm going to go to Jesus Christ. That's where I'm going.
Hello?
Hey, Rick.
We got a sister on there. Go ahead, sister first. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Robin. I called a couple weeks ago and told you about my daughter shunning me. So I can relate to your circumstance. And what I have done is I haven't talked to the elders in about 3 or 4 years now. They were calling me, texting me. They still send me the programs over the email. But I just decided to shun them.
Right.
And so that's what I do. I'm not disfellowshipped because I want to leave the door open in case my daughter comes to her senses. I can say, well, I'm not disfellowshipped. That's the only reason that I haven't dealt with them or written a letter, only because I want to be able to keep the door open with my daughter if she ever wants to talk to me. But in my mind, I'm shunning them. They don't deserve any kind of recognition or respect from me. They protect child molesters. I don't deal with people that protect child molesters.
I hear you. Yeah. Hey, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, this is Gilbert. Just real quick. My advice to the man is real simple. If you're going to go bear, go grizzly. Listen, Watchtower and the elders are afraid of toxic masculinity. When I left the Jehovah's Witness Church, I flew an airplane over Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, over their convention when I used to go to. And boy, the whole body of elders in the town of Yuma, Arizona were having meeting after meeting after meeting. They hated me so much, but I went on the offense. The point is simple. You have to be a man, act like a man, be strong. You won't regret it. I understand you have family members and you want to be cautious as serpent, but innocent as doves. I understand all that. But remember, when you leave, go grizzly, and that's my 2 cents. I hope it helps. Good night.
Gilbert, I follow you, Gilbert. Thank you. I follow your channel. I like what you do.
That is so cool. Hi,
Joe.
this is Apostle Babe Linda James. And from what I understand, Auntie Fran and Uncle Joe, from what I understand, your question is, see, I done adopted you. See, you're still going to get family.
Good.
So, from what I understand, what you said is you've made a statement of, we have these 2 choices: to wait for them to disfellowship us, or for us to give them the disassociation letter, and you would like to do that to make a clean cut and to start in with your being an activist.
Yeah.
Oh, am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, correct. Yes, and that's correct.
Okay, so we heard from Zachary that if you do give the letter of disassociation, they can open it up later and reinstate if that ever becomes a desire of yours, which I doubt it will, but there's that, right?
No.
So,
right.
Hell with
and you, okay, but just, I mean, what I hear is you're wanting to know your options within those 2 things.
Yeah.
And you're wanting to start right away with, being an advocate and everything else.
Yeah.
And I get your passion, I get your desire, and I get your earnesty. And then there's the females. Okay, so Miss Beverly, are you gung ho with your husband to be for him in this? Do you feel like you're up to it, or are you going to just kind of watch him take off first and maybe catch up later, or how does that feel to you?
I'm with him. I'm with him all the way. And our kids have tried to split us up. Our daughter said, "Mom, if you need a place to stay, you can stay here." And I said, "I have no intention of leaving Pop. You know, we're in this together."
Oh, how darling! Yeah. No intention of leaving Pop.
No,
that's so beautiful.
Yeah, he's Pop. Yep.
So my suggestion, and let me just read to you Article 18, which is part of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, which is universal, okay? And Article 18 is the one for freedom of religion.
Right.
And it says everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his, and let me say her, or her religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. So this goes for being able to change your religion or not have a religion. This is a universe, this is a human right.
Right.
What happens is they take your children from you very dishonestly and very underhandedly, and that should not go along with a human right.
I understand, but supposedly isn't that the same, by that same right that a religion has the right to exercise that option of shunning?
They have the right to exercise kicking somebody out. If you're part of any group and you don't follow the rules, of course you will be dismissed or kicked out. What I have found is shunning is an extreme form that comes with being kicked out of the group for not following rules. Not every group, because there are Christian groups that do disassociate or disfellowship, but it's not usually associated with shunning.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's ostracism, and has clinically been proven as a horrifying and abusive manner.
There's no question. In fact, possibly what I'm interested in doing, if it gets to that point, is to go public with it. To go to the Board of Health, to go to radio stations, television stations, schools, other churches, and if they are interested in it as a public interest, a public health story.
Great, because
I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, just get your letters written up, and you'll be asked to come and talk to places. So, in case you're afraid of other churches, get that out of your system. You know, the demons flying around, get that out of your system. But what I've seen in people, what they'll do is they make a mistake of not doing any healing of their own before they go into being an advocate. And I really want to encourage you to get into something that's equivalent of you've been in an abusive relationship.
No,
things such as trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I've heard.
Go ahead.
Okay. And grieving groups where you grieve your children, and there's also this thing of survival guilt might come up. There's a whole bunch of psychological things that might hit you that you're unaware of, even why it's happening. So please educate yourself in those things. And I am so for you. I am so for you and so happy for you.
Hello. Hi.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Can
I'm finishing up, Zach.
You still going? Okay.
No, I'm finishing up, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll let you go, and here's Zach. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, I'm back. I just what's currently going on with you and their activities? Do you still turn time in and stuff?
Yes, we have. We have been turning time in.
Yeah, it's probably going to put an end.
Like, how many hours a month are you turning in?
Oh, like 10.
So, okay. Now, one thing I suggest, because you want to leave your one of the things you kind of have to do sometimes is that sister who says something like she's shunning them. You do need to, I think, lessen your activity. You don't want to be a strong publisher. If you're turning in 10 hours a month, you're a strong publisher.
We've been witnessing
against them. You're going along with the program in that way, and you really, it sounds like you might want to fade out. You want to get to the point where they lose interest. You want it to be that they lose interest. So if you're turning in 10 hours a month, just a drop makes them notice. So that's that. You might need to start lessening that as you make up your mind what you're going to do. Because there's a thing that can happen with elders where they do, the body of elders, you can kind of fall through cracks.
Right.
And they may not pursue you as much because you've fallen through the cracks. Your time is low. You become a really weak publisher, or then you might be an irregular publisher. That means you don't turn in time every month. You've turned in some time in the last 6 months, but after 6 months you become inactive, and you're not noticed. So as you make up your mind what you're doing, you don't want to be the strong publisher who just a hiccup will make them notice you,
No, that's a good point.
Hey, Zach, can I ask you a question?
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
Being that you were an elder, and then they're a situation, and what they want to become, full activists, and I understand that, but they're concerned about at least one of their daughters. If, let's just say they're disfellowshipped, but they've already maybe shared certain things with their daughter, could that possibly cause the daughter to look at why was my mom and dad attacked versus if you send a letter of disassociating yourself, then she automatically just writes them off? Is there an advantage of being, I guess that's hard to question because it depends on the person, but you see what I'm trying to get at? If they do get disfellowshipped, then the daughter could eventually look at, well, my mom and dad were trying to share this with me and that, and the congregation disfellowshipped them versus they disassociate themselves. I guess it's a catch-22. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Some things take place with a bang, and everybody notices, and some things take place gradually. And you don't realize anything's moving. You can move pretty far gradually. The definite thing is the strong publisher, being that you don't want to be a pioneer, you don't want to be an auxiliary pioneer, you don't want to be a strong publisher, you don't want to be noticed. If you get disfellowship, then it will be, oh, they're disfellowshipped. If you write a letter, it will be, oh, they disassociated themselves. I guess it's a thing you judge. How do you keep the relationship with your daughter going, and at the same time you get involved in more vocal and visible activism?
You're giving me good insight here. I can see a clear path to, as you said, just fading more. Because it still leaves the door open for our daughter. Whereas if we disassociate,
hello,
yeah, and you know what they'll do sometimes. Like there are times when a person may be accused of committing a sin, and you don't see them, and they don't pick up the phone when you call, and they kind of fall through the cracks, and they're not as pursued by the body of elders. They're not pursued because they're busy anyway, and they got this to do, meeting parts to do, and sometimes they don't have the time. So I think answering the phone less, sometimes, oh, you don't feel too well, and, it can give you some room.
Good. No,
Hello?
Go ahead. We got a new sister coming in here, Zach. So go ahead, sister. What do you want to say? Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. It's Sharon. How you doing?
Good.
Joe and Fran, I've been listening to you for a couple of weeks, and I just want to let you know how it is on the other side when you make the decision to just drop the bomb, so to say, and then just leave. I did that.
Okay.
I woke up on December 5th, 2012. And once I woke up, I just let everybody that was in my congregation, I let family know this is what the Watchtower is guilty of, all this stuff. I knew I was going to be shunned, but I did not care. I did not care. I could not stomach it. And I wasn't going to play a game that, you know, oh, here, that this is my experience, okay? From the moment I woke up, from that day, I have been posting every day on Facebook something about Watchtower. From me doing that, I woke up 5 elders who knew me growing up because I was in from May of 1959. I was in for 56 years.
Wow.
I've been out. It'll be a decade this December 5th. And I have lost 5 decades of friends, so-called friends. I've lost family, but I made friends. I made family. People who think like me and don't want to be bothered with that. I mean, how can you even excuse pedophilia? How can you excuse it? There is no excuse. And my dad, who's a PO, he said to me, well, where are you going to go? You know, their favorite line. And I said, there's no question where I'm going. I'm going right to Jesus. Sorry. He said, he died for me. You won't. And you put the Watchtower ahead of me. So where would you go? You know, that's just my experience. That's just how it worked out for me. And I just wanted to let you know that sometimes it does work, but you got to be prepared that you're going to lose everything. You are. And if you can get over that hump, boom, you got it.
That helps.
I don't know if this is a good idea. Oh, just one thing. We were prepared because we've got some very close friends that
we have friends.
Yeah, and we were even thinking of writing each and every one of them a letter, letting them know what we were going to do. We haven't done that, but I don't know.
Yeah, see, I called them. I had to tell them. I wanted them to hear my voice and how serious I was about it. Because, you know, you can read so much into like text and messages. But when there's emotion behind what you're saying, I think that goes a lot further. Yes.
True emotion rules.
Absolutely.
Yes. Good.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, this is Chad. I was just wondering, have you decided which way you're going to go? Not so much how you're going to go out, but like, okay. I just have a couple recommendations.
Okay. Well, what do you mean? Wait, just a clarification. What do you mean? Which? Can you just explain the difference between those two things?
Yeah, like if you're going to disassociate or just fade.
Right. Well, I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Well, here's something you could do, and it's very different. Someone had said earlier, if you go out like a grizzly. And everyone's looking that, you know, you only have these options of disassociate or be disfellowshipped or fade. There's another option for you guys, and it's an option nobody else is looking at.
Let's hear it.
And your other option is to literally drop a bomb on them via media. And what I mean by that is right now you guys are being forced into a position where you have to choose, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, they've put you in this position. they think they've got all the answers. Now, there's an old saying, just when you think you've got all the answers, I go and change the question.
Right.
They're only expecting you to do one of those three things. If you were to say, take out half a page in a personal ad in your local newspaper, and put your disassociation letter in that, you could reach the entire area. Not only that,
yeah, no. In fact, that was one of my plans, is to go public with it, and to go to the media.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, if you do it with a newspaper article and you take out like a quarter-page ad, so you can put your disassociation letter in that ad, and you don't say anything mean. You're very nice, very cordial, but you do bring up things like the Australian Royal Commission covering up child sex abuse.
Right.
And
Well,
all this other stuff about.
I was even thinking of talking a local author, reporter, or news person into accepting it as like a news angle, because it's current. I mean, it's a current issue,
right?
And I think it needs public. Actually, I was even thinking the best way is to make it political. If some politician wants to take it on as some kind of an issue, I'd be very interested.
I was going to say, I think the best way, if you want to take it into the political arena, would be to contact your state's attorney's office. And contact your state's attorney's office and start talking to them about the child sex abuse that's being covered up. And I would say especially do that about 6-7 months before an election season. And you're going to see it come up big time. So,
I like that. I like that. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
But if you want to take it political, definitely take it to a state's attorney's office. Make that an issue for candidates to actually talk about. So,
good. No, I'm going. We will. We absolutely will.
Right. But I mean, just like I said, flip the script on them, and remember, just remember that they think they've got the answers, but you have the power to change the question.
Yeah. No, they don't need.
You can try everything on their ears.
Yeah, they don't need negative publicity.
Oh no.
Good.
So
good.
But I just thought I'd chime in with my 2 cents. I've been waiting for about half an hour.
I'm sorry. I'm putting it in my pocket. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being patient.
Thank you.
Well, Joe and Fran, this is Rick at the Six Queens panel here. But I have to tell you, so many people are calling in. They're trying to help you. My goodness, I'm sure you're digesting some of this and saying, wow, this is amazing. Lots of people. I think we still have some more people who want to call in. Looks like we got California. Looks like we got Michigan. Go ahead, California. You're on with us.
Hello, this is Southern California, and this is the Pasta Babe again. Now, what you were just told about and your idea of becoming political, I want to suggest that you become a registered voter. Otherwise, you're disenfranchised and have no voice. Please don't show up as not a registered voter yet. Okay?
How do you vote?
Okay, that's all.
Don't vote. Yes, thank you. That's a good point.
Okay. I think the DMV is the now.
We've got another California caller too. Go ahead, California. Another one coming in. Go ahead. We're looking at so many people coming across our computer screen tonight, guys. It's amazing. But, I don't know what would be the final result here. You guys are going to have to make the final decision yourself and be able to move forward. But, what I picked up during the conversation here tonight is I don't think you guys really give two things to consider about the Watchtower. 2 hoots of beans is what I'm trying to say. So, So maybe Gilbert's right. You want to be a grizzly bear. If you've had enough of this, just say, that's it. I've had enough. And I think that in the long run, there's a certain amount of satisfaction that comes out of saying, that's it. I'm done. Do what you want. I'm giving my letter. I'm out of here. I want nothing to do with you nuts. So sometimes
right.
that can be very, very faith strengthening, Joe and Fran.
I agree, and honestly, Rick, what I really want to do throughout it all, I want to impress my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I really do. I want them to stand up and take notice of why we would possibly even do that.
Well, good for you. Good for you. You don't want to pander to them. Look at you guys.
No.
This is what your father's doing. If you want to follow me,
Yeah,
fine. If not, forget about it. But this is what we're doing. Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Joe? Oh, I just wanted to say something to Rick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We wrote this. We just wrote that little email. We had called you. We had left a message, and I was starting to get discouraged because you hadn't answered us. And I'll tell you, this is more than we ever expected. So we really appreciate your input and everyone else's. We are really taking this to heart. I'm taking notes, and we truly appreciate this.
Well, I'm glad you do, Fran. And you guys make the final decision, but at least you have something to kind of go on here. But really, yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, you've been very helpful, truly.
All right. Well, you guys just keep moving.
Yeah, Joe.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah, I was going to tell you the number one thing, especially with your daughter, is to know the scriptures. And you start with God's name. Even the Watchtower admits Jehovah is not God's name. Okay? Jehovah is another name for the devil. Allah, Buddha, Jehovah, it's all false names. Jehovah the devil, Satan the devil, Lucifer the devil. It's a name for the wicked one. Okay, so that's number one. And even the son's name has been twisted. That's not true. Do your research. You'll find out that Jesus comes from Jesus, and Jesus was a demon god of the Druids. Okay, that Constantine, back in the 4th century, 325 CE, came up with and forced everyone within the Roman Empire to force to take. Then you take Let's statement of babies are enemies of God. How ridiculous and how stupid is that? And then, of course, 1914, where Let's said, there's more evidence for 1914 as being the year that the kingdom was established as there is in gravity. I mean, this is the stupidity of these retards, and you need to point these things out. You need to know the scriptures, and this will help your daughter say, wait a minute now, Joe, my dad is not crazy. He's telling the truth. Now, they may not accept it immediately, but eventually they'll say, hey, this is right. They're right. But if you don't bring up scriptures with Jehovah's Witnesses, you are wasting your time. If you're just going to bring up the Australian Royal Commission, I've heard nothing but retarded excuses saying, oh, no, that's just made up. They twisted the thing on these scriptures using CGI or whatever make-believe nonsense that they say, and they don't accept it. So you're wasting your time without knowing the scriptures. So you got to start with the scriptures, and then you come back later with, even the... Right. Yeah, I was going to say about the CSA. I mean, twisting the two eyewitnesses, that's not what the scriptures say. You look at the Greek word for the two witnesses. The witnesses are not eyewitnesses. That's a different Greek word. It's two, basically, right.
As much as I value that, what you say, and I recognize the value of that, I still think that they somehow have to fall out of love with their relationship with the governing body, because they're not going to listen to any of my scriptural dissertations to them. They love the governing body, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them to get turned off, and they will. They will. The governing body.
Well, if they haven't been turned off yet, I don't know if they will. But some people are Pharisaical followers of men. There's, what can you do? I mean, they want to be a follower of men. You're not supposed to. We know we're not supposed to, but.
Sure. No, I know. Some just unfortunately love lies and not true. No, I'm with you.
But even with regards to the slave, why don't you point out that the Son of God actually said in Luke that the slave could either become
Well, wait, hold on one second.
evil.
Hold on one second,
That's
caller.
right.
I mean, do you really think that you're going to be able to get into a conversation with the elders with scriptures? I mean, are you serious?
No, I'm talking about his daughter. His daughter.
Yeah, but really, even that. I mean, it's not going to work. I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be, irate here, but that's not going to work. I'm getting the truth. That scriptures don't work on these guys. They're brain dead. They're brain dead. But thank you for trying. Thank you for trying. It's not going to work.
Wow.
I'm telling you. I think.
I truly have every confidence that they're going to see through the governing body's a bad act. I really do.
Well,
yeah, I don't know if you agree with me, Rick, but you know my story with my daughter. When I left, she was 4 and she's 12 now. And that's one thing that I've come to realize is you love them and you always show that love to them no matter what. And whoever, if it's the governing body, if it's their mom or dad, or if their sisters or people in the congregation, if you love them, one day they're going to wake up, because when you start to share stuff with them, their mind shuts off. They get it's common. What I've noticed in almost every Jehovah's Witness is like, oh, this is exhausting. Even though you're showing them scripture, they don't. They've been trained and programmed to the point where I have had to learn, Rick and Joe, is I love my daughter to death. It almost took me out to have her just shun me completely. That's my daughter. And she's only 12 now, but she was 4, and now she's starting to come around. But the point was, what I've learned is, it's love. You stay in that moment of love. And when they look back in life, they're going to know Dad and Mom loved me. So that's the only advice I can give.
I appreciate that. That's a conversation that Fran and I have. And that if love doesn't work, then that's all over. But that's going to be the thing that we approach them with, because I don't even want to debate with them on issues. I really don't. I want them to know.
But you hit something though earlier. You said the governing body. That's what my daughter. See, I get to talk to her twice a week. She talks about the governing body. They met Stephen Lett, and is Stephen Lett the one with the funny face expression? Yeah. Okay. They met him at an assembly and whatnot, and it was like you're meeting Michael Jackson or something, And she was so excited. This generation is way different than how we grew up. Well, I didn't even know who the government. Well, I might have knew a name of a governing body, but it's not the same that it is today.
They went Hollywood.
It's not the same. They did. And that my daughter is stuck in that mode. And all I can do is, she wants me to get on Zoom. She wants me to, come. All I can do is express love to her. And that's all I know that it's going to work. That's where I'm hoping.
I'm voting on your side and say it will.
Yep.
It will.
Well, there you go, Fran and Joe. I mean, this has been good. We had so many people calling in. So thank you guys for coming in and expressing your position that you're taking. and you guys have to make the final decision. Pray to God about it, and you and Fran talk about it, Joe, and make the right decisions. But I would say if you really don't care or give a damn about the Watchtower, then drop the bomb on them. Let them know that, we're not going to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. I hope that some of the information that was given to you tonight may help, but only you guys can make the decision. Thank you.
It does help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thank you all.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for coming on here. And we'll be in touch with you. And I'm going to tell you what, if you guys really want to be activists, we have a position here for you at the 6 screens. So don't you ever be inhibited. Anytime you guys want to come on, I got an opening for you guys. You can come on and spill the beans on the Watchtower. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Best, Rick. You're the best.
I want you to know that. I love it. I love activists. I love activists. I get very attached to activists, and you guys are that. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you. We love you, Rick.
Well, thank you very much, Fran and Joe. Well, there you go. My goodness, what a couple. What a dynamic duo. You were going to hear more from them. These guys are going to do great. You watch. These guys are up and coming stars in the ex-witness world. They're going to be able to really expose the Watchtower. And the reason why I can really speak with authority here in credibility, these guys have a lot to lose. All right. They have children that are still Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're willing to stand up and say, that's it. We've had enough. That is my type of people. I give them so much credit. I thank you, Joe and Fran, that they have a future here at the 6 screens or a future in activism. We love activists. Activists to making a difference. Activists to helping bring the Watchtower down. We are getting points on the scoreboard because people are speaking up. They're not hiding in cyberspace. They're coming out. They're saying, that's it. I've had enough. The Watchtower is an organization that is steeped in occultism. It's steeped in difficulties coming to all kinds of people because of their policies. So I love people to speak up. Thank you, Joe and Fran. Well, anyways, we have got a pasta babe. Well, she's your favorite apostate, and she's coming up here next. I don't know if you're listening in right now, Linda, but we're going to get you on. We're going to bring you on YouTube. You're going on YouTube tonight, Linda? You with us? I'm not sure she's on the phone line, but I do believe she'll be on YouTube tonight as well. I don't know if she's bringing Pete in or not. Haven't heard from her today, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the pasta baby.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
Can I just ask when you're expecting me on?
Yeah, I think you could come on in about a minute, 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes.
Actually, I thought I had another hour.
Another hour? Well,
it's 8 o'clock here. Yeah. So can you give me like 20 minutes?
How many?
20?
Yeah, go 20 minutes and we'll bring you on.
15.
Yeah, no one, Reese isn't coming on for the time being. So we get you scheduled at 11 o'clock. So see if you can.
I'm sorry, I did not realize. I'm
okay,
so
well,
sorry.
no, that's not your fault. It's not your
I
fault.
can come on, Rick.
I
can come on, Rick, if she needs more time.
Well, no, we'll continue this on. I've been on now for like 5 hours, but we'll continue it on, and we'll get to Pasta Babe on coming on as soon as she can. But we got more to talk about here tonight on JW World News, and we really have a lot of people. Yes.
This is Debbie. I just wanted to make a comment towards one of the callers, and I'm not just trying to be difficult. This is totally based on principle and people's feelings. But the gentleman who came on earlier and kept calling everybody a bunch of retards and all that kind of stuff, that's very offensive. That's offensive to me.
Well, wait a minute.
Any parent who has a mentally disabled child.
Well, wait a minute, Debbie. Did I hear this? I mean, I've been listening in here tonight. I didn't hear anybody saying that. Can you kind of reiterate what he said or what was happening?
You didn't hear him? He was talking to Joe and Fran, and he said they're all a bunch of idiots. I mean, retards. You didn't hear that? He used that expression at least three times.
Slow down, Debbie. Let's just go slow here. So who is he calling retards?
All the witnesses. And we were all witnesses at one time, but that doesn't make us a retard. And retard is not supposed to even be used nowadays. It's a mentally handicapped person.
Well, okay, let's just back up here. So somebody you said came on tonight and was calling.
The last guy that was on there before Daniel, and he was talking to Joe and Fran. You don't, seriously? This was just 10 minutes ago.
I didn't hear it at all.
I don't know. I mean, Daniel, did you hear anything about retards?
I must have slept through it.
No, I didn't.
I understand.
No, I don't. I would agree with you if they were saying that, Debbie, but I don't know if I know I didn't think I was no, I wasn't muted, so I didn't hear
I'm not
anything.
talking about you. I was somebody
I know that.
before you.
Yeah, I just have to say I was listening and I heard the gentleman talk about Jehovah different names, and he did call people retards 2 or 3 times. It was a little.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
It was tacky. It was tacky.
I just thought that was inappropriate and offensive, and I just don't think those kinds of things anybody should be called a retard or anything like that. It's offensive, it's unkind, and it's not loving. Like I said, it's based on principle, and I'm not trying. I seriously am not trying to cause problems.
Oh, you're not causing problems, but
very offensive.
I'm wondering why I didn't pick it up on my radar screen. I mean, was it?
Well, you can go back and listen to it. It wasn't but just a few minutes ago.
All right. Well, go ahead. We got another sister. Come on, sister.
Oh, it's me, Rick. I heard it too. It was the guy that said Jehovah was Satan. Do you remember him? Guy?
Oh.
And
I see. I just caught he was talking about Satan and Jesus and Jehovah.
Yeah,
I didn't catch the retard.
Well, he has some
sorry.
unusual ideas, and I will give him that. His ideas are not generally mainstream, and they're not usual, but he did use those terms. But I think he was just flapping his jaw. You know, sometimes people swear, sometimes people flap their jaw, and they say things they should not. But that doesn't mean that Rick represents him in a positive way by him saying those things. That's just his opinion.
Well, I misconstrued what he was saying, to be quite frank, Susan, and I apologize, Debbie.
He said it so fast. If you weren't really listening, you'd miss it.
Yeah.
That's why everyone.
Well, sometimes it's hard for me to completely listen intently because of what's going on here in my control panel. But Debbie, I'm sorry if you said that. I'll go along with that, and I'm sorry you said it. You know.
Well, I felt like I had to say something. I couldn't just let it go without saying something because it really, really bothered me.
Well, that's okay, Debbie. I mean, if it did, and I can understand it. And sorry I didn't pick up on it, but I'm not making excuses. I would love to be able to listen more intently to everything that's being said here. Sometimes I just cannot do it. But thank you, Debbie.
Well, I'm not blaming you, Rick. I was just hoping he was still listening. This had nothing to do with you. This had to do with him.
Well, let's ask him.
Addressing this.
Well, let me see if he's still on here. Sir, I mean, we're talking about what you said. You want to come on and make a little rebuttal on that? If you're still listening in, would you like to come in and make a and create a little thread here that would tell us what you were exactly talking about? So go ahead and come on with us if you like. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes we have so many people coming through here, and I'm watching 6 different computer screens here, so sometimes I miss some of this stuff. But anyways, we'll see what happens. But thank you, Debbie. Thank you for bringing that to attention. I do agree with you. If that's what he said, I agree that it was not right. I do agree that. Yes. All right.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Well, all the time, Deb. I mean, you got a free pass here. You know that. You're my friend, and we love you. And anytime you want to come in here, we'll open the doors to you. Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
Well, I love you, Rick. I love your wife. I love everybody that comes on here. I normally don't have a problem with anything, but that kind of hurts.
Well, no, if it hurts, you let me know. You let me know. Sometimes stuff does get
Okay.
by.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Debbie. Thank you. So there you go. That's Debbie. I mean, we look at friends. What we're trying to do here. Well, we're not trying to make enemies. This is a community. We're trying to connect with one another. Sometimes things are said that can be rude, and sometimes I miss things. I'll tell you that right now. I'll be the first to admit it. We had some issues here tonight, but I'm not using that as an excuse. But sometimes I just don't catch it all. But anyways, you're on 6 screens, JW World News. We're still on it. We haven't got off it yet. We had Joe and Fran on with us earlier, and we're glad you're on with us right now. But you know what I'm telling you, as I'm going through the news this week, it's very embarrassing to many Jehovah's Witnesses with their governing body. Have you noticed some of these guys? My goodness, take a look. I don't want to beat up on Garrett Loesch, but my goodness, he looks like he's ready to die. And Jeffrey Jackson and David Spleen and Kenneth Cook, these guys, they don't look like they're healthy to me. Stephen Lett.
Time's not been kind to him, that's for sure.
No, it hasn't. So, it's embarrassing for many Jehovah's Witnesses to actually see their governing body. But I did come across, in fact, I have to tell you, friends, it's just a rumor still. I mean, I don't want you to take it to the bank and cash it, but there's some new light. People are writing into me at the 6 screens, and they're saying there's some new light, Rick, that's going to be coming out soon. So I'm saying, well, what is this? What is this? And they're talking about the governing body. And, they know that the governing body is not charismatic. They're nowhere near charismatic enough to be cult leaders. To be a cult leader, you've got to have some gutso. You got to have something that keeps the wheels moving, but they have nothing going for them. In fact, they look like they're nursing home patients more than anything else. They're not cult leaders. So
the word is charisma.
There's no charisma. There's no charisma at all, Pixie,
No, and charisma can be spirit-filled with a good spirit or a bad spirit.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, they don't have charisma either way.
They don't seem like they have much spirit at
all. No, they don't. So the governing body members, from what I'm learning, now these are rumors, don't take it to the bank and cash it, but I'm learning here that the governing body members are not going to have to serve until death happens. So, in the past, many of us thought that, well, the governing body, they're in by tenure, they'll be there forever until they die. But now we're getting rumors coming into the 6 screens that there's something changing in JW World. Now, we know that circuit overseers and even elders, they're starting to put time or age requirements, I should say, on them. And we're learning now that the governing body may be falling into that same situation. And I've always said it here on the 6 screens, there's many younger there's many younger Jehovah's Witness men that could be used to fill the ranks of the governing body. And this would be so much more enjoyable for the witnesses to look in and say, wow, look at that brother. He's handsome. He's doing a great job. He's charismatic. But the witnesses listening into the governing body going, my God, what's up with these guys? They're allowing governing body members some slack here. The witnesses don't seem to be noticing it, but I think that more younger, cultier governing body members may be taking the ranks here shortly. And some of the information that people have been sending in to me at the 6 screens is saying that, they know that circuit overseers are removed at the age of 70. And even some of the elders in congregations that are the Kobe's, the ones that are in a position of total responsibility, they have to leave by 80. So there's no reason that your Jehovah's Witness governing body can serve until the 80s and then step aside. Well, that's exactly what I think they're going to be doing here shortly. So I think you're going to see.
Can I
go ahead?
Can I take a crack at answering that question? Why?
Of course.
Do you know why that is? Is because you got to remember they're a Watchtower Bible and Tract Society corporation, so they are not of the fold of George Washington. King George said if George Washington were to give up his presidency, he would be one of the greatest men alive at that time. And he was, because he wanted to go home. He wanted other people to serve. The governing body are not of that fold. These are the people that are like the Supreme Court justices, like Ginsburg. She wouldn't give it up. She died in her position. A lot of people are like that in Washington, in our government. They will stay there until their last dying breath, and that's the governing body. So what is, going back to what you're just saying, people who have more power over the governing body are making these changes because you're right. You need to have a fresher, younger, good-looking man to bring in more people because that's their business model. These people don't fit the business model. And the last thing I wanted to say is there's a book that's over 100 years old that I read it many times. It's called As a Man Thinketh, and it's to answer your question about why the governing body looks like, dead men walking. And it's because we are, how they say we are what we eat. The governing body fills their mind and body with hateful thoughts. And Rick, I've told you this so many times. This is Gilbert, by the way. I've told you that you have to raise up your hand like an alcoholic, anonymous. Say, hi, my name is Gilbert Gonzalez. I used to be a hateful person. I didn't feel hateful, but I was, because I thought that God only loved us, Jehovah's Witnesses. You see, and so the reason they look the way they do is because they fill their minds with hateful thoughts. And that's why you see a lot of apostates. And you think, wow, you're looking pretty good for your age. Like Rick Fearon looks very good for his age, because you have started to fill your mind with positive things, loving things, and you've rejected it. And so that's my counsel to all of you. Read that book, As a Man Thinketh. It's over 100 years old. It has like 1 million views in the audiobook on YouTube. It's a really quick, short book.
Gil.
Go ahead.
That is a great book.
Yeah. So that was just my point, Rick. That's why they're getting old. That's why they look old, and that's why they're leaving, because they also, like Jesus says, it's not going to get any better. They're enjoying the best they're ever going to see is what they have here on earth. So the governing body, of course, they want to retire. They want to spend their money now because they know that after they die, it's not going to be any better. That's my opinion.
Well,
it's
a good. Hold on one second, sir. In other words, Gilbert, I want to say this, that we really love you when you come in here and you make good comments all the time. Your comments are really great. The comment you made earlier about grizzly bears, and you want to be a grizzly bear, that got a lot of YouTube interest. But I just wish we could get your phone better. So sometimes your phone is good, but other times it comes through as very staticky. But boy, if we could correct that issue, I don't know why that's happening, but we want to hear.
Yeah, I got to get a new phone, and I'm going to answer your question as to why you like my comments, because I was elected as a governing body member, so there's no secret why, and that's exactly why, because I'm qualified to do this kind of work.
Well, see, your phone came through really good then. So maybe it's becoming, maybe if you come closer to it or whatever. But we want you to do that because you have so much to offer. You have so much to offer.
Yeah, we all do.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
God bless everybody, man. Thank you.
Good man. That's our good friend Gilbert. So, anyways, there's more new light. So
I would like to make one defense for Ruth Ginsburg. My beloved Ruth Ginsburg.
You love Ruth Ginsburg.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute now. Is this a political statement, Zach, or what?
Wait a minute.
I mean, you're coming in out.
I think let me do it the way we do it here.
Okay.
I'm not going to get political.
Yeah.
That's what you say before you make a statement. No, it's not really political. It is explaining why she held on. She was holding on. She wasn't holding on like, oh, I could care less. I'm going to wait until I die. She held on because she was waiting for the Senate to be a Senate that would confirm a justice who was liberal like she was.
That's true.
That's why she held on.
Yes.
RBG was.
Okay, that's all. I wasn't getting political.
No. But I mean, I'm not going to beat you up on it. And, you know, sometimes we do get
I know.
political here, but I'm just wondering why you would bring that in right now. I mean, it's just concerning to me. Yeah.
Oh, why? Because Gilbert just now used her as an example of a person who held on and wouldn't let go.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about governing body members who hold on and won't let go. And he used Ruth Bader Ginsburg as an example.
Right.
And I was explaining why she did not step aside. She needed a Senate who would confirm a person who was liberal like she was.
All right. Well, I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember when Merrick Garland was nominated, they didn't even sit him down for a year and a half to confirm him.
Okay.
Okay, that was all.
I got it. Well, that's good. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to comment that I've been told, and I've done some research, Samuel Hurd is well into his 80s. So there you go. That's my comment.
Well, he's the oldest governing body member. He's 80, from what I can see here from my notes. He's 86 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Not too many people live beyond 86, and I mean, I'm just saying that it ain't because he's a governing body member. It's just he's lived that old, you know, and I'm just saying, you know, I mean, this is what you're listening to, and
yeah,
and so.
Well, Samuel Hurd is not one of the more predominant or likable. I don't want to beat the man up too bad here, but he's not.
Sure.
A lot of people don't like.
He was seen wearing a Rolex watch. They had some pretty good people observing some of his talks. He had a Rolex on.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, and then Whiskey Morris, you know, after he was busted or seen in that liquor store around that time, he gave those speeches. He was slurring on his words pretty good. I listened to a lot of his speeches, and I would say the man was intoxicated while he was giving those talks. But that's my opinion, I guess.
Well, you have your right to your opinion. That could be. I mean, there were many Jehovah's Witnesses that actually did drink before they gave a talk. Did you know that, Jeff?
I believe.
Well,
That's a shocker.
I was within that cult for years, and I know how alcoholism runs and how it flows. And I mean, Jehovah says it's okay for us to drink. That's what I was always told.
Well, yeah, but let me tell you this: that I have a good friend here. He's dead now. He died, about 10 years ago. But he was a very good friend of mine, and he was an elder. And he was, in fact, he coined himself or identified himself as the booze overseer. And we now, I know people are going to say that's ridiculous, Rick, but no. In fact, right here in Rhode Island, we used to have our conventions, our district conventions, and he was an elder, and he was from right where I live here in Massachusetts, Tewksbury, Mass. And he was the food overseer. He would make sure all the food came into the conventions and what have you. But also what they would do, and you're not going to believe it, I know, but
I believe it.
But what he said is when he would go to the convention, they would give him a good wad of money to go to the liquor store. And this doesn't seem far-fetched from what we've seen Anthony Morris doing. So he would go to the liquor store prior to the convention and buy a real large amount of liquor and bring it back to the convention site. And he was telling me that, the brothers were told that they can imbibe somewhat, not get overly indulged, but they could imbibe somewhat before they gave a talk to relax them a little bit, so they could come on stage and be a little more relaxed, and they could have a couple of swigs of whiskey or whatever. So he bought the booze, and I mean, I have no reason to discount what he said. He called himself the booze overseer. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I believe it. I remember when I worked for a witness when I was studying, and back here in Iowa they have those 5-cent deposits, Rick, and he gave me these huge garbage bags of 5-cent cans, just humongous big garbage bags. And I'd take them in. There were money, and I was in my early 20s, and I used to remember him he was an elder. He was riding a lawnmower with a beer in his hand. And he'd always tell me, well, Jehovah says we can. That was when I was studying, going to meetings and doing, book studies and what have you. I went out in service for a while, and anyway, I knew many elders that drank like a fish.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it all comes from Rutherford.
Rutherford had in the middle of Prohibition.
Yeah. Well, we do know. I mean, I know that story I just told. Many are going to say that's ridiculous, Rick, but I'm going to tell you, I believe it 100%. I really, really do. These things happen, and it's so hard for people to believe it all. But we saw Anthony Morris, right? I mean, let's take that as an example.
At least Scott McKellen's. He's a top shelf guy.
Well, that's $100 a bottle, Pixie. I mean,
I know
if you're gonna drink, you might as well go all the way, right? Boy.
That's right.
Well, anyways, what we got?
They said that was. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So, go ahead. You can say something. Was that you, Daniel?
This is Jeff. I was going to say, yeah, that sister said that's $100 a bottle, and the comment come out that was for Gilead. Do you believe that he would be in a liquor store Sunday morning buying all that McAllen, for Gilead? I mean, the graduation, that was just. I've known a lot of alcoholics, and that was personal use. I mean, and also I got to say this. I knew a man that worked in a liquor store, and that McAllen comes in a beautiful box. And you could buy it in the box or you could buy it out of the box. And if it was a gift or something, you would leave it in the box because the box was beautiful. And that starts out at $100 a bottle. It goes all the way up to $1,000 a bottle. McAllen does approximately. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that was personal.
On that Gilead.
What's that?
When you get a chance, I want to comment on Gilead.
Oh, go ahead,
because
sir.
you said the wine was for Gilead, right? And besides,
no,
you
it was whiskey.
You guys are making me thirsty talking about this good wine all the time. Okay. They do have a thing. They have, if it's still the same, in the week of Gilead graduation, they have a Gilead meal. It's almost a special meal. It's just a little longer, and they have better cuts of meat and everything. And it used to be on Wednesday. And after that meal, it's the noon meal, which is dinner for them. After that meal, often the table head invites people from his table to their room, and I think in the room, they're allowed to have alcohol that day. And so there could be something to that.
Well, he certainly had enough for the whole Gilead class, and they probably kill the fatted calf and have a whiskey, and he certainly bought enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. It was personal use. There's no doubt. Why was he there Sunday morning? And this is before COVID. I mean, why wasn't that clown in a meeting or that clown was out of service? He was there kind of, look at the video. He was in a disguise. He was there on Sunday morning, and he drove 70 miles from Warwick, which there was liquor stores between there and Warwick that he could have went closer. He was kind of in the disguise. Then he went out and he loaded it in a Cadillac, and these guys took a vow to poverty. It was an older Cadillac, but it was a Cadillac. I mean, just do your research, get online, watch the video. I watched it a number of times. The brother, God bless him, that he took that video. He had to go out to the car and videotape this clown, and he talked to him. He watched him buy it. On the way out, the guy, Morris, he had the bottles on the conveyor buying it, and then he watched the clown. He's got a video of it, loading it in a Cadillac. So you folks do your research. That's all I got to say if you question that. So that's all I got, Rick.
Well, that's good enough, Jeff, for me. My goodness gracious, that's good. You're commenting tonight. Always good to hear from Jeff. Well, we are just coming up here. We're getting ready for a Pasta Babe to come on tonight. So looking forward to that. But anyways, I want to bring you some more new light while we're waiting for a Pasta Babe. I don't know if you read this Sunday's Watchtower, but boy, oh boy. I mean, the more I read, the more I'm thinking things are really changing. So more new light for you. Now, these are rumors. Don't take it to the bank and cash it because I don't know for sure. But the article in the Watchtower last Sunday, well, actually this Sunday, I'm sorry, is kind of suggesting that children are having the freedom to choose. Okay, we have got to hold on one second, folks. We got to get back on to the 6 screens. Our telephone connection has been lost, but just give us 1 second. We'll be back in. So just listen in, folks. If you're on YouTube, we're just trying to get our telephone line reconnected. It goes out.
Welcome into the live 6 screens conference calls. We thank you for joining in. To speak up and talk, press *6 on your telephone. When you are done talking, press *6 to mute yourself. Remember, when you are unmuted, your phone is a microphone and picks up on all noises in the background.
Get the phone system up.
We hope you enjoy the programs tonight. You will now be placed into the conference.
If you are the please enter your PIN. Thank you. There are 19 participants in the conference.
Well, actually, we got more than 19, but they're in here listening in here tonight, so they might want to be calling up. So go ahead, sister. You have something to say? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just telling, this is Fran again. I was just telling Joe today, I was feeling sad, but tonight this just changed everything. I was just laughing and just so much uplifted. I truly appreciate it. Joe said it really helped.
Well, I'm glad it did, Fran. You know, you got friends here, and that's what you guys are experiencing. And this is what's really good about the witnesses getting out of the organization today, is there are people that are here and they experience the same things, and we can talk about the same issues. But, you know, if you roll the clocks back 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. Many people who left the Watchtower, they felt so alone. They couldn't connect with anybody. But today is a different thing, Fran. So I'm glad that it's helping you guys. Really am. Thank you.
Oh, so much. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say something quick about that governing body member that bought the alcohol. You know, in itself, if he would have bought alcohol, you know, like one bottle, that might be understandable. There's nothing wrong with drinking a little bit, but you could tell he was hoarding it up, storing it up, or he's going to have a binge drinking session, and he's not using his own money because he's getting money from people, from the organization, from donations. So this isn't the first time. So it's undoubtedly an ongoing thing of expensive buying, and this is just one incident. We could talk about jewelry, we could talk about suits, we could talk about fancy shoes and silk clothes and all these expensive things that they're buying. They didn't ask permission. Can you imagine if you took somebody's credit card and start buying expensive things without their permission? It's immoral.
Well, I don't know what else you call it, Larry. It is immoral. It is immoral. It's unbelievable. But thank you. Thank you, Larry, for checking in with us tonight. Always good to hear from Larry John Wayne out of Southern California. Some more light coming into the 6 screens here. I don't know if you saw Sunday's Watchtower, but I'm just feeling that they're making some changes here. And like I say, I'm not sure. It's just a rumor, but this is what people are sending me. In spite of their best efforts, now this is right out of the Watchtower. I'm reading this. If one of your children says that they do not want to serve Jehovah, do not conclude that you have failed as a parent. Now, right now, there's many Jehovah's Witness parents that their children are saying, Mom and Dad, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. I don't like it. I don't want to be one. So the Watchtower this week is addressing that issue. And Jehovah has given all of us, this is right from the Watchtower, I'm reading this. Jehovah has given all of us, including your child, the gift of free will, the ability to choose whether we will serve God or not. If your child has decided to leave Jehovah, do not give up hope. One day he will return. So then it goes on to say, for all of my, well, I'm gonna bring this out. I'm going to say this right now concerning this article in the Watchtower for this week's study. All of my life, really, and when I was even a child, I knew it, that, you had to be, if your parents were instructing you to be a Jehovah's Witness, you were forced to be a Jehovah's Witness. You couldn't say, well, Mom and Dad, I don't want to be one. But obviously something's changing here. Is this new light? Is the Watchtower saying that children now have the freedom of choice and the parents must honor that choice? Well, stop and think now. I don't want you to jump to too many conclusions here. I'm just thinking out loud. But, right now, children's rights around the world, Belgium, Norway, and even in this country, are really coming to the forefront. They are giving children more rights than they ever had before. And let's just think about this. Because of places like Norway and Belgium, and speaking to many Jehovah's Witnesses, young people that have been abused by their family and thrown out on the street, maybe the Watchtower is just trying to cover their butts here legally. I don't know. But another thing that comes into mind, and I'm going to bring this up, and you guys might agree, you might not, but how about the woke crowd? The woke crowd today, you guys are seeing it on the news. They're giving children all kinds of rights that the parents don't even know about. Well, you say, well, like what, Rick? Well, let's start with transgenderism. I'm not going to pick on it. I'm not going to beat it up. But, they're allowing children to speak with their to speak with their teachers and tell them how they feel about life and hiding it from their parents. They're giving children that right. They're giving children right to abortions without even telling their parents that they're doing it. They're giving children rights to morning after pill, if they've been raped or if they had sex and don't want their child, they can take a morning after pill. And, I'm just thinking that maybe the Watchtower is being very cautious here. And so they're starting to say, at least in this Sunday's Watchtower, that, if a child doesn't want to be a witness, well, let it go at that. And maybe they're doing it for legal reasons to cover their butts. I'm not sure. But the young ones, we do know. What I do know for sure is the young ones are leaving in droves. And the governing body knows that. I mean, everybody knows that, right? This is.
They have to cover their assets. They have to cover those assets. That's part of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too, Pixie. So I'm thinking that this is a lame attempt at consoling their parents and keeping them marching while breaking up their own families. In other words, don't worry about your children. Just stay with Jehovah. Let them do what they want. I mean, we know the young ones, they're computer savvy. They're learning everything from Google, and the governing body is waking up to the understanding that their message is not working with the younger ones. They're force feeding these ones, but it's not working. So that's my thoughts.
I think it will be real scary if they have the good-looking governing body. The Monkees were a pop band that were very popular and musically very good, and they all got the job by audition. So if they audition some younger brothers up there that are super spiritual and super photogenic, that actually could be very scary because they could have a lot of charisma and they could be real cult leaders.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Yes.
I kind of feel like it's all of the above, but also reverse psychology, in the sense of, think about it, is if a few years ago your child is saying, I don't want anything to do with this religion, whatever, and the parent is taught to shun them, to basically throw them out, to now maybe show more love or whatever, and say, hey, I hope, well, you'll come to your senses and come back to Jehovah. You gotta, if you look at psychology and look at that child that was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, probably, that might create guilt in him, thinking, well, wow, if my parents are kind of understanding where I'm at, and they're, it's a different mentality that actually shifts that in the brain, where they can start thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is maybe I am leaving Jehovah, and my parents are going to accept me back. You see what I'm saying? I think it's reverse psychology because the organization needs the youth. People are dying out. So the old generation is dying out. The youth is what they need. So they're going to have to switch it up to keep the organization. So it's all about mind games. They've done this all along. All they're doing now is switching it up. That's just my opinion.
Well, it's a good.
The Mormons keep numbers pretty good, and they have strong families, and they're it's like they're Latter-day Saints, but we have ski trips, so I'm sure they'll do that.
Well, you're right, Pixie and Dan. I think you're both hitting it on the nose here. But I mean, that's just rumors. I don't know, but it seems like they might be relaxing that standard. If your children don't want to be witnesses, toodaloo, and just work with it. And you guys keep moving forward. But they know darn well the young ones have had enough of this. They have had enough of this. They are seeing everything. They got phones on them. They're in the internet. They see what's going on. Well, anyways, I see we do have a pasta babe coming in here. Friends, I want to thank you very much for coming in here tonight to JW World News. Now, I just want to say a couple of things here. We do have 6 Screen Sunday coming up tomorrow. We got some great programs. You don't want to miss it. We start tomorrow on Sunday. Every 2 weeks, we do our Sunday program. We have it tomorrow. Now, beginning at 12 noon, we have Theology Matters. Chad out of Illinois comes on, got a great program. Theology Matters. We get into the theological issues concerning the Watchtower. We don't talk about it on Saturday night, but we do it Sunday. So why don't you come in tomorrow beginning at noontime when Chad comes in and discusses Theology Matters. And then at 1 o'clock, we have Jody and Scott. They come up with the program Knowing God. And tomorrow they're going to be talking about, the Watchtower always talking about the end times. Are we living in the end times? Are these signs of the last days? Well, tomorrow, Scott and Jody will be examining that, what the Bible really says and what the Watchtower says. And then at 2 o'clock, we have a great program. Friends, I have to tell you, this program is really gaining momentum. Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses share their Christian testimony. If nothing else, if you just come in tomorrow at 2 o'clock and listen to this program, you will be elevated. You will be 10 feet high. Christian testimonies, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses give them. We have Delon Delafonte. Well, she has a program here on the 6 screens. She's going to be giving her testimony tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Anne Marie. So by all means, check that out. And then at 3 o'clock, JW World News, Sunday edition. And then 4 o'clock, Jay Hess. Well, Jay is a former writer. He was associated with the Watchtower writing department, and he has a program here on the 6 screens every 2 weeks. So join Jay at 4 o'clock tomorrow. I know that you'll really love what he has to say. Well, I think it's about time to bring a Pasta Babe on, but I want to say a couple other things too in conclusion. Friends, don't send any money here to the 6 screens. People want to still send money here, but don't do it. Give it to somebody that can really use it. I'm not doing this for the money. So please don't send any money here to the 6 screens. Well, what I'm saying here is, a lot of people that say, well, Rick, I really like what you're doing. And, I appreciate that. But what I'd rather have you do, how you can really help me out rather than send me money. Why don't you subscribe to our YouTube channel? Or why don't you share us on Facebook or give us a like? That makes me more happy than you sending me $100, really. So why don't you do that? Don't send any money. Subscribe to us, like us, and share on Facebook. That'll make me a happy camper. So we're going to end this program. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, I can.
Well, I'm in the studio and I can't find you.
All right. Well, hold on. I'll be in there in a second. Okay. You just hold on. You hold on 1 second. So we're going to be bringing a Pasta Babe on here very shortly. So friends, I just want to say this. The last one leaving the Watchtower, by all means, turn off the new light. A Pasta Babe's next, healing after the Watchtower. We're going to end this program on Facebook and YouTube, but come in a few minutes and a Pasta Babe will be on as well. So let's end this right now. Thank you very much for coming in with us tonight.